Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 620. It is November 5th, 2019. My name is Nick Henderson, and to my right is Brad Simons.
Sup?
Nolan Hess.
Oh, my mic isn't on!
Yeah, it is.
Turn it up!
That's actually probably going to be way louder
all right,
than you anticipate.
That's better. That's better.
Nolan Hedstrom.
How's it going, everybody?
And Christopher Guthridge.
Hey.
Hey, Nolan.
What's up, Nick?
You want to turn on Chris Davis's microphone?
I mean...
Or turn
Sorry,
on
I feel like
Crispy's
that's the one that
microphone.
you should be prepared for every
guess
week.
So.
And Christopher Davis on fifth mic.
Hey, guys.
Howdy. All right. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who listens to the show and supports us on Patreon and in Discord and all that good stuff. You guys recently helped us reach our goal of 150 patrons, so we're doing a Project M, and I think we are one step closer to having all the details finalized. I think we are comfortable to announce a tentative date, which I think could possibly change last second, or not last second.
I hope not last
It could change, but I'm pretty sure
It can't change.
it's safe to say we're going to be doing this on December 14th, Saturday, December 14th. That we'll announce an official time and the exact game we're going to be playing or racing through, if you will, soon.
The game we'll never play again after.
You just got to make sure you know that whatever game we end up racing, that is the last time any of us will ever want to play that game. But we'll make the official announcement. Maybe on next week's show we'll have the game announcement to make. But December 14th, we will start probably sometime early in the morning, and we will play throughout the day, and we'll race through a game. It'll be a lot of fun.
That's not true, though. I feel like every time we've raced a game, I've always wanted to play more of it after we were done.
I mean, the first one we did was Ocarina of Time, and I'll never not want to play Ocarina of Time. I haven't really thought much about Super Mario 64 since we did.
No, I remember
Project M.
when we finished that marathon, I went home and I got more stars. Like at home.
You're fucking sick.
You're a monster.
Yeah, you should lower your microphone.
Yes.
You're a fucking monster.
So
yeah, stay tuned for more details on that, but for now, mark your calendars for December 14th. It should be a lot of fun. We'll be racing through a game. We'll have the whole gang here. I'm hoping that maybe we'll end up doing another charity stream kind of thing where we raise some money for a good cause, but should be a lot of fun, and we'll let you know more about that on a future show. Of course, I want to start the show out with feedback. We had a really good show last week, guys. We talked about some stuff. We talked about Outer Worlds.
It's pretty good.
Talked about Disco Elysium, and Brad kind of sold a lot of us on that game, and I think we're going to talk more about it tonight, because I know Crispy's been balls deep in that game. Am I right?
I have played a bunch of it.
I have also played a couple hours of it myself.
You know, when you say balls deep in a game, I think of like the like when you dip a cone at Dairy Queen and you get that chocolate shell on the balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say balls.
I like how you very, very seamlessly went from the actual, like, what you're talking, like, comparing it to the metaphor.
Yeah.
Suddenly you were dipping your balls.
The Disco Elysium is turning into a hard shell around the balls.
You dip your balls in that chocolate?
Apparently Brad does. All right, let's start out with feedback. We got quite a bit of it from last week. So I'm going to go ahead and start us off with a first comment from one Mr. Boy. You may want to turn Chris Davis's microphone on because he is part of this comment. Chris Davis, I agree with your stance on Modern Warfare 100%. Video games are video games, especially when they come from major developers, and I think that content can be too disturbing or violent for the platform. If a developer wants to make a serious social statement, don't do it in a AAA title that you can buy bundled with your system. I guess let's take that first part because it's totally separate from the second part. Chris Davis, how do you respond?
I mean, I say that if you're forcing the player to do terrible deeds in a game, then yeah, you should take a step back and look at what you're fucking designing.
I mean, you know, one thing that I think bothered me the most about that, because it's less about the fact that you're doing these terrible things, because I do personally feel like maybe I'm just desensitized to some of this stuff, and which is a bad thing.
Yes.
But it's they're trying to say something about like the nature of war today, right? Which I think is a perfectly viable stance to take.
War is bad.
I mean, it's more of just like how war is different. Like you look at Call of Duty World War II versus Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and it's like this is what warfare looks like today, and it's like the horrors of war and all these terrible things that happen. But they put you in these situations, right? Like Chris Davis mentioned last week, we were storming this house, and like all of a sudden, this civilian woman like grabs a gun out of a shelf and like starts firing at you, and you have no choice but to gun her down. And it's the fact that you have no choice. Like, it's a video game. I feel like there should be some wiggle room. There should be different ways to approach a situation like that. You should be able to disarm her without taking her life, you know, if you can manage it. Like, it should be skill-based, right? But there's none of that. It's just like, it won't let you proceed until you shoot her in the face and she's dead. Which I feel like is...
Is she a zombie?
No, it's just one of those situations.
You gotta shoot her in the face.
You storm into a small room. You take out there's a guy in there with a gun. You take him out, and then the person that he was holding hostage grabs the gun he was holding and starts shooting at you. And then you have to gun her down. But there's no other way to approach that situation. There's
you have to gun her down. Then you have to watch her child cry over her corpse.
Yeah, you know, which is. The thing is, that kind of stuff does happen in real life, and that's why why they're doing it. But like
that's kind of what they're saying. Like, guys, this stuff happens in real life.
I know.
Look at what you're doing.
But like real life, you should have options. Like, it's a video game. I feel like you should have options, and Call of Duty has become so on rails that they don't ever... Like, there's one mission in that game where they kind of let you off the rails, and it's the best mission in the game, where they give you choice about how you walk around and approach things.
On the topic of war being messy and like difficult and like, you know, like
fucked up,
dark, right?
Yeah,
sure.
So like, you think back in the Civil War when they were like brother fought brother and stuff like that, right? Was it? I mean, how did that work? Was it like? I always sort of envisioned it on like two sides of a battlefield, and they're scanning the line, and they see their brother, and they're like, "I'm going after him."
No,
I mean, hope not.
Did the brothers still live together?
No.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure not. No,
because like if they lived in the South, they would
probably both be on
the
they would be on the same side probably
into whatever state army.
I think when brother fought brother, it was like they had ideological differences, so one brother would like
move
to a different part of the country.
But would they ever like meet up?
It's
Probably
a
not.
metaphor.
Yeah.
Or that, yeah.
Although I'm sure there are documented cases of brothers actually shooting each other in the battlefield.
Probably like in the same house, though,
or just
right?
like or having an argument under the same roof and just shooting each
that's
other.
probably how it happened.
Probably more accurate.
One Mr. Boy goes on to say, also, since Brad mentioned it, I never got to thank him for turning me on to Twin Peaks.
What?
He has mentioned it in several podcasts, and I finally just finished it. Such a good show. Please give Brad a hearty thumbs up for me.
Yeah.
It is a pretty
Shameful
good show.
secret, I still haven't watched season 3.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
That's the new one, right?
Yeah.
The one
It's
for
supposed
Showtime?
to be really good too.
Yeah.
All right. Fuzzy Turd says, I want a show where Brad just talks about his Disco Elysium experiences. The genuine excitement and just the sheer amount of interesting content he had to talk about was definitely a highlight. Seriously, the way he hopped from story to story was seamless and done in such a way that I hardly noticed how freaking long he had been talking about the game.
Hey,
Hopefully this week Brad will have some more stories
I
from
definitely
it.
noticed.
I won't have any more new stories, but hopefully other people will.
I've played some and Crispy's played some. So, Nick, please loosen the leash a little. That was some yum content that made... I'm sorry. I will let Brad off the leash a little. I mean, the only reason I ever do that is because sometimes I know, like, you know, we don't want to have like a 4-hour
You've
show.
gotten so good at that. I went on like the dumbest fucking random tangent about the Civil War, and the way you like just moved very quickly into the second paragraph of that comment was like seamless. It was like beautiful.
Well,
honestly,
Nick's had to deal with this shit for a while.
exactly. That's what I'm talking about. You know,
I'm glad.
But like the leash is one of those stretchy leashes.
Brad
you know?
really likes the leash. He
Yeah.
actually requests it.
You know the stretchy leashes that you
Well, they're like on a reel.
Yeah, a reel. I'm more on a reel, you know. Like he lets me go as much as I want, then he hits that button.
Technology, Nick the Leash Henderson.
Yeah.
That's actually a catchy nickname. Also, spectacular work as usual. You guys are seriously the only
Nick the Switch Henderson.
Oh my god.
Okay.
He goes on to say, spectacular work as usual. You guys are seriously the only content creators whose old episodes I re-listen to when I need to because the podcast just fucking curb stomps the fuzz out out of others with personality. That's cool.
Thank
Thank you
you
very much. It's crazy that I'm now 20 and I've been watching y'all since I was 8 or 9.
What the
What
fuck?
are you talking
Why would
about?
you say that?
No,
Do your parents
you're
know?
going to jail,
He says,
or
yeah.
we're going to jail.
Everyone's going to jail.
He says, "Yikes! That explains my obsession with Just Egg Rolls." Hope you remember that show. One of my favorites. I don't remember
That sounds familiar.
I don't remember that. That must have been from a long time ago.
I don't want to talk about it.
He also says because of Brad's Fatal Frame videos, which brings me to my next point: include Fatal Frame in Project M somehow. Oh God, no, no. Maybe a mini Project M sometime in the future. Let's give it a hard pass on that one. But thank you for the idea. Drew327 has a couple comments. He says, "Not sure if this was an inside joke that I was missing, but in case it was an accident, her name is Pavati."
Pavati?
Not
Pavardi?
Pavardi, like a slice of cheese. No, that was probably just us mispronouncing.
I was calling her Havarti on purpose.
Yeah, isn't the cheese Havarti? with
Yeah,
an H?
yeah. I was doing that on purpose.
I mean, I was just doing my best to actually pronounce her name and probably butchering it, so I apologize. But she is still probably one of my favorite characters in that game. He also says, Nick is not alone on Red Dead Redemption 2. I am also compiling my to-do list for the PC version and am so excited to get back in there. I will talk about that a little bit today. I played about 5 hours of the PC version, and I've started checking boxes on my to-do list already. It's so fun.
You're like Ed.
I know.
Nerd.
Thorax says, I'm worried about this class warfare Crispy started. It very well could possibly be... it very well could be possible that the poor $1 Patreon supporters want to purge the rich $5 Twitch subscribers. Oh my god, that's true. Let's hope that doesn't happen. We do appreciate your support either way. Tax says, I was both for a while. I am the 1%. There we go. That's a good way to approach it. Mm-hmm. He goes on to say, maybe I'm just naive or just jaded at this point, but is Call of Duty really going to be subject to scrutiny now of all times? Don't get me wrong, the parallels to real-life atrocities and the belligerents involved were tasteless, but I'm not inclined to believe Infinity Ward will put in the effort to make an intentionally political statement. I feel like it's kind of hard to make a game like that without making a political statement, and I feel like that would kind of have to be intentional.
Yeah, I think I think you're right, Tack. I don't think it was an overtly political statement. I think they were just like, we need something in this game, and they just it's that kind of thoughtlessness that's like
where they get
they seem like they're kind of dumb, and they just want to make like a broad statement about war. And
Definitely dumb.
Basically, like, war is
bad.
Yeah.
There could have been some nuance there that would have made it more.
But hey, that
maybe
doesn't
more impactful.
that doesn't mean...
And honestly, I think the of all the things, all the missteps in that campaign, I still feel like the most obvious one that people are going to point at and say, "What the fuck?" is the whole Highway of Death thing, which
I don't know what that's referring
the
to.
Highway of Death. I'm not a history buff, but the Highway of Death was an atrocity that the United States committed during the Gulf War, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And this game repositions it as if it was the Russians that did it. They literally do the level is called the Highway of Death, but it's the Russians that are positioned as the. So it's kind of like, I heard someone compare it to like whitewashing history a little bit.
Gotcha.
So I feel like that is kind of a fucked up thing to do.
Yes.
Especially for the sake of telling a story. There's probably more graceful ways of doing something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think of course it's going to be open to scrutiny, and it's hard to make a game about war and not have it have some kind of political undertones. So yeah, I think it is definitely going to be scrutinized.
Hey, are we done with this?
He says like they wanted. He says they wanted iconic set pieces and clumsily dealt with the implications of using what they did, and I think that is why it's open to scrutiny. I think he's exactly right. I think that's pretty much what Crispy just said.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that definitely opens them to scrutiny, as it should. He says, I believe Call of Duty is just an easy target for people looking to be critical, and this entry in the series has a lot of vague socio-political subtext to latch onto. It's just another quote-unquote NATO rules hurrah piece of media that is insensitive.
I think we said as much. We said as much last week, though.
Yeah.
Hey, so my wife texted me Hobbs and Shaw ? I believe that means, can I watch this without you? And she did this like recently with like she watched Justice League or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think Malia just thinks I'm like some dumb hipster, and she hates that I don't watch that stuff.
What's the answer? Do you want her to watch Hobbs and Shaw without you?
No, I don't want to fucking watch it. But if she wants to watch it, I'd like to watch it with her. You know.
Oh, that's a hard.
You don't like just a popcorn movie? It's dumb
that movie is real dumb.
Well,
but it was
it's
fun.
on purpose though.
I like The Rock, but see, I don't really go out of my way to want to watch that stuff. But then, like,
there's a lot of it. So I mean, there's so much like popcorn schlock, like blockbuster shit out there that like you don't have to like.
I still haven't seen Spider-Man.
You're gonna run into it if you just walk in a straight line. You don't have to go out of your way for it.
Yeah, like for the past couple weeks, I've been looking at the red box.
Yeah,
I've been like, I should just watch Spider-Man, right? That's the thing I'm supposed to do. Like as a fucking Earthling, right? Everyone wants to watch Spider-Man.
Not necessarily.
And like I never pick Spider-Man, and it's like, why do I not want to watch Spider-Man?
Maybe you're just not a big fan of Spider-Man.
No, I like Spider-Man. You know, I thought that last one was
He's
okay.
got the spider and the man and the webs.
The one with Doc Ock, man,
and the
that one was great.
radioactive blood.
Is that the last one that you watched?
Are you referring to Into the Spider-Verse?
No, I watched Into the Spider-Verse.
He's talking about Far From Home.
And I watched the last Spider-Man movie with the young guy, with Tom Holland. Yeah,
You're talking about the other Spider-Man movie?
You talking about Tobey Maguire?
He's just like, I like Spider-Man, the one with Doc Ock. And I was like, that came out like...
No,
you talking about Spider-Man 2?
I'm saying that one specifically is like one of my favorite comic book
Homecoming?
movies. No!
Spider-Man 2.
I'm so confused.
Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock.
Okay, just
You've
making
seen
sure.
that?
Yes, I've seen a lot of
That
them.
was his argument for why he's saying he likes Spider-Man.
I'm saying I like Spider-Man. The one with Doc Ock is one of my favorite comic book movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just said you hadn't seen the last Spider-Man.
Yes.
No, I have.
Okay.
Wait.
I'm done. Next question.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck Brad's talking about.
Wait, Brad, have you seen Far From Home or not?
No.
Then you haven't seen the last Spider-Man.
No, but we're talking about that one. So when we say the last Spider-Man, we mean the one right before it.
You do. None of us did.
None of us. We meant the last one that came out.
No one was on the same page as you, Brad.
But the topic was Far From Home.
There's people listening to this podcast.
So when you say the last
the topic
one,
was far from good.
Oh my god.
So like we were just talking about Modern Warfare, right? We're talking about Call of Duty. And I was like, well, did y'all play the last Call of Duty game? Are you thinking, the Modern Warfare, we're talking about it?
No, I don't play Call of Duty.
No, you're talking about the dumb one that he played.
You failed your
The
rhetoric
World War
check.
II. No, look, I think I'm in the right here.
Hey,
I think I'm in the right.
Didn't we have some feedback from Slopdog?
We did. Slopdog says, this episode is, last week's episode is representative of all the aspects that make this podcast great. Aww. 1, passionate reviews. Once again, this podcast has convinced me to play a game, Disco Elysium, that I'd otherwise have passed over.
Nice.
Cool. 2, articulated observations. The discussion on violence in video games, especially the complicated and often contradictory relationship development studios have with violence in their games, is a very interesting subject, as it is. Number 3, comedy. Crispy's Fallout 76 class warfare rant was pure gold. I agree. And number 4, it's relatable. Like Brad, I too hate onions.
See?
Hold on.
Boo this man.
I can't remember where we ended, Brad. Do you like not onions at all, or what about like caramelized onions?
Okay, but did you see
No,
the last
because-
onions that came out?
Oh shit!
I like
That one had layers to it, man. It was deep.
This joke works so well.
I think y'all just wanted to be right, and y'all didn't even see the point I was trying to make about the last Spider-Man. Anyways, no, I mean I like onion rings. Some of them. If the onion's too thick, I'm out.
You mean if it's
I
got
like
onion in it,
I
you
like
don't
onion tanglers, onion
I
strings.
forgot we talked about
But if
onions.
it's
You
a
like,
thin
you like,
onions.
you like the Burger
Yeah.
King onion rings that don't have onion in them? It's just
No,
It's just
onion
breading.
flavored mush.
No, I don't like those. No.
That's
It's just a rubber band that's been deep
It's got,
fried
like,
in some onion.
dip in it.
That's
I like really thin onion strings,
That's
tanglers.
That's real gross. All right. Guys, thank you so much for all your feedback. Of course, if you have anything you'd like to contribute after tonight's episode, go to 4playernetwork.com, leave a comment on the post for this episode, and we'll read it and respond to it at the beginning of next week's show. With that said, let's get into it. Let's talk about video games. We have plenty to discuss.
I dare you.
We usually like to start with the new hotness.
Luigi's Mansion.
Let's start with Luigi's Mansion.
Gooigi.
Okay, so here.
Who here played the last Luigi's Mansion? Oh, fuck you! I got you!
You didn't even try to move your...
I got you!
For what?
We've all played Luigi's Mansion 3.
I asked you if
We've
y'all
all
played the last
one.
Luigi's Mansion.
Luigi's
and y'all
Mansion
said
3.
yeah. Because the topic was Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah, but this one's still out. Far From Home.
The topic-
has been out of theaters for a while.
The topic
Brad.
was Far From Home.
Brad.
Far From Home is not still
But it-
impression. It's
but
like
it-
already on DVD,
But
Brad.
it was the topic, and I was talking about looking at a red box.
Okay, Brad.
I gotcha.
Everybody just fucking shut up.
Guys, you gotta think of the people.
Loud noises.
Think of the people at home. I'm gonna have to duck that audio because goddamn.
Sorry.
Hey,
No, look,
Crispy,
look.
don't you apologize. Brad started it.
No, you apologize to me.
We've been playing.
I'm sorry to the listeners.
I'm not. Fuck them.
All right, let's talk about Luigi's Mansion 3. Yes, I played Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. It was delightful. It was one of my favorite games of that year. I feel like a lot of people skipped that game, and now this game is on the Switch, and it's fucking delightful. Has everybody here been playing this? At least a little bit?
I have.
I haven't.
Have not.
I
Okay.
just started playing it today, yes.
Okay. And I'm not too terribly far. I think Nolan's probably the farthest of us in this game.
Probably.
But okay, so maybe you should lead this conversation.
I've
then,
never
Nolan.
played a Luigi's Mansion game.
You've
Wait,
never.
what? Fuck you, Brad.
No.
Let me just say,
No, because it's like, why?
Luigi's.
I could just play Fatal Frame.
Why would I play a good game?
Dude, I'm gonna be honest.
Well, I didn't know it was good because I've never played it. I never had the urge to play Luigi's Mansion. No one's ever said, "Dog, you gotta play Luigi's Mansion."
You know what, Brad?
No one's favorite game is Luigi's
Brad,
Mansion.
you know what? Brad,
Travis.
Brad,
Brad, I'm over here.
it's my new ringtone.
That's pretty good.
That's
but-
pretty good ringtone.
But the one from the last game was
I
last
I've never met a
God damn
I've
it.
never met a diehard Luigi's Mansion fan
I'm being
that's
true,
like
though. Like I'm
that's
Brad-
lost their mind.
Brad, I feel like
Up now.
so I'm over here like trying my best to like champion Dark Moon when it came out and telling y'all how much I love this game.
Yeah.
you
And,
just
and like
told us what a baby game it was.
me,
No, I own it. You know, I took a page from Nick Henderson's book. I own it. but
I walked right into that one.
The thing is, I remember our conversations about it, and I know you liked it, but it was more of like the podcast conversation you had was different than what you said about the game at the end of the year when it made like your top 10. And I remember the podcast
that's 'cause
conversations.
I don't like to repeat myself.
It was like you were enjoying yourself, but you were like frustrated about the checkpointing, which was like supposedly really bad in Dark Moon, and like you had to like do like a whole fucking mansion in one go or some shit like that.
I don't recall that exactly. Maybe
You know,
maybe.
like again, people. From what I understand, people have always liked these games, but no one has ever been like giving it Game of the Year, that sort of thing.
Let me just.
I definitely think some people probably are.
Let me tell you this.
Well, maybe this.
Let me tell you this, and this is again from someone I played Dark Moon. I loved it, and this one I'm only about 2 hours into. I'm like on the 5th floor of the hotel, right? But I can already kind of see glimpses of what the design of this game is like, and it's very similar to Dark Moon. But like this series is like why
Did you get the?
we talk about
What the fuck?
we talk about Super Mario Galaxy, right? We talk about Super Mario Odyssey and how the one thing we can all kind of agree on with those games is that, like, from a design standpoint, they're super varied and they're super brilliant, right?
And they feel fun to play.
They feel fun to play.
move around.
Luigi's Mansion is very much the same way for me. Like, every floor of this hotel is like packed with like secrets to find and like creative ways to get to those secrets. And on top of that, it's just like dripping with this Nintendo charm. Yes, goo. This Nintendo charm and honestly, the sense of humor in this game it's
pretty good.
It's like so on
I
point.
suck at aiming though.
So hold on. So that's kind of what I wanted to bring up.
But you see, you just like undercut an entire like this is a brilliant game, but the aiming kind of sucks. And that's what people are gonna remember.
So yeah, and that hold on, and I wanted to bring that up because it has a just reason for being brought up, Nick. So far, I've been enjoying the fuck out of this game because I agree with you. It is very charming. It looks pretty good for what it is.
Yeah.
It is funny. I do like the level design. I like the concept of it. I don't want to say Metroidvania-y, but there you definitely get skills unlocked, so you have to backtrack to do stuff.
See, yeah, at first I didn't really know if I was just not doing something right.
You unlock abilities and stuff, and so you will end up backtracking
Like,
a little
for
bit.
instance, in the garage level, there's a thing you can't get into that I can't get into yet, and I'm already like on the 5th floor, so I know I'm gonna eventually have to go back down to the garage.
You can
to
get there now.
Really?
How do you think you get in there?
I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
What did I just do in the elevator?
Oh, I wasn't watching.
Okay, that's fine.
Good.
Yeah, I gooed all over myself.
Well, you have Gooigi.
Do you not have Gooigi?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
as soon as you get,
I have Gooigi.
as soon as you get Gooigi, that's
There
fine.
we go.
And so that's one of the big things is Gooigi is a goo version of Luigi.
By the way, that's weird.
Yeah, that can like squeeze through grates and stuff like that. But what's cool, and you'll see when you get there, Nick, you can actually have both Gooigi and Luigi active at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of A, the multiplayer part of it, but B, certain like puzzles, you actually have to have them each doing something. And so you can kind of start Luigi doing something, like using the vacuum, and then when you switch over to Gooigi, Luigi still keeps doing what he's doing, which is kind of cool. But I agree with Brad, the angle that the game is at, it's not exactly straight on from the side, it's slightly up, and that can get kind of confusing when you're pointing your what is your backpack
Your
called?
Poltergust?
Yeah.
In a direction, and you turn thinking you're going to go one way, but you accidentally go the other, or maybe
Yeah,
it's
I've definitely struggled with
It's
that
like the
a little
right analog stick is from a tank controls game,
Yes,
and
it
the
is.
left analog stick is not.
Correct.
So it's like it's hard for me to fit
Well,
them
it's-
together in
what
my
it
brain.
is if you go left with the right analog stick, Luigi goes
his left.
counterclockwise. You think about it
Yeah.
like that. And if you go right, he goes clockwise.
Yeah,
That's kind of how it works, and it takes a little bit to get used to it. And there definitely have already been several times where I've kind of accidentally gone the wrong direction. And once you kind of get set up in that direction, you're good. But yes, it does sometimes take. And what I will say, I think they realize that. Because there are some levels later on, there's some boss fights and stuff where the camera angle changes, where it becomes a little more top down.
Yeah.
And it actually makes it a lot easier in those boss fights. Because I think what happened probably was that
That was
people-
probably from testing.
yes, they had probably difficult times doing those. So they're like, hold up, let's change the angle a bit. 10 times easier when they do that. And so I do think a lot of the game, since you are in like hallways and very short rooms, it's okay that it's at that very, it's at like maybe like a 15-20 degree angle tops the camera. It's not very high up. But on those other levels, it does jump up a lot higher, and I do think that makes it a lot
I
easier.
will say I do think the game is really charming. Like I'm not trying to discount that, but it's the aiming has been difficult for me. But I didn't say that the aiming was bad. I said I was bad at it.
Sure.
I mean, it's something I'm obviously going to get better at. But in the initial stages of the game, because I'm kind of bad at the aiming, it's sort of combined with the fact that I think it feels a little tedious because you're kind of using your vacuum on like fucking everything, and there's so many objects in the environment and money to pick up. Right, you have to vacuum 9,000 things in a room,
Okay, so hold
and
on.
I'm bad at aiming, and I'm trying to collect all the money. I
Let's
don't
talk
even
about
know
that,
what the
Brad.
money's for.
Let's talk about that.
But I'm
'Cause
trying to get it all.
I literally just unlocked it in this footage. I don't know if
Yeah.
you saw. I unlocked the store.
Okay.
And so the store allows you to buy golden bones, which are essentially like revives. That allows you to buy hints for where the gyms are.
Okay.
I don't really know what the gyms are for
That's
yet.
cool. Yeah, what are the gyms for?
I don't know yet.
I
Because
feel like
finding
the
those
gyms-
is rewarding.
Yeah, I
Finding
mean,
those is
I feel like
rewarding.
more than anything, the gyms are just there to be like really interesting. Like it's like
Puzzles.
Hidden puzzles.
It's
yeah.
almost like think of like every floor of this hotel as like a world in Super Mario 64. And it almost is in kind of a way because like the floors, and I haven't experienced this myself too much yet, but I've heard about it. But like a lot of the floors are themed, right? They're different. They're one's like a a Hollywood movie set or that kind of thing. So it almost feels like separate worlds from like Super Mario 64 or something. And inside inside each one of those worlds or levels of this hotel, you're finding these gyms, which could be analogous to like the stars in
Sure.
Super Mario 64.
I like getting the gyms.
I love it.
It's the going into a room and knowing I have to vacuum everything to get every little book off the ground.
So that's what I want to say.
I kind of
Brad.
don't want to do that.
I think care less about the money. I think there is a shit ton of it because there's so many coins that are like, oh, it's a single coin. And that is almost useless. I would say you probably get enough money from chests
Just
and
naturally.
Yeah, no, not even just natural. I'm saying like there's chests or like that kind of scenario where a bunch popped out. Sure, vacuum that.
Yeah.
But I think when you're fighting a ghost or something, don't worry about it.
Will I ever get an upgrade that like a lot of games do that where you have pickups where it auto picks up everything near you?
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh my god, I want that so bad.
So what I would say maybe avoid is like, having to pull down every curtain, because if you pull down a curtain, like $5 drops.
Yeah,
Like,
I've been
don't
doing
worry
that.
about that.
I always find myself pulling down curtains and stuff just because like sometimes there's cool stuff hidden
Sure.
behind those curtains.
Oh no, yeah, definitely do it for that. But I'm saying what I found so far is I've unlocked money. Like, I've unlocked stuff to spend the money on, and so far I have not found it extremely useful.
And it's also one of those things where it's like...
So far. Maybe if I get to the point where, I'm stuck trying to find a gym, I can go buy a hint for where a gym is.
Do we know what the gyms are for?
I think they're just a collectible.
No.
I have not collected all on a single floor yet, so I don't know if you get something for that. But when you go to see Professor Egad...
Maybe somebody in chat knows.
Maybe. When you go see him, there is the... little gallery, and you can see areas where you've unlocked all the gems.
The reason I'm bringing this stuff up is because
Fatal Frame says money does something in the end game.
Okay,
I don't know.
Well, the reason I bring this up is because money in gems is like a majority of the gameplay outside of combat. I mean, you spend a lot of time doing what, like, say, Nolan's doing right here in the game. So, I would like those rewards to be meaningful. Because that's what I'm spending most of my time
honestly,
doing.
I just think it's a little too early for us to determine how meaningful they are because.
Well, yeah, obviously.
And I haven't played. It's been so long since I played Dark Moon that I can't honestly remember what those did. But like, I don't remember feeling disappointed by the end of Dark Moon because I don't remember feeling like I had wasted my time or effort trying to get those things.
I'm sort of getting the vibe of like a Kirby game or a Yoshi game where there's so many collectibles, and if you go in trying to get like all of those collectibles, it can be like a rewarding thing. But the reward is kind of getting the collectibles.
Yeah.
Like, I'm wondering if I just kind of ignore all of that and just kind of critical path it, which sounds stupid. Like, am I still going to have a rewarding experience?
I think you'd be missing out on a lot of the flavor of the game because, like...
I like the gyms. I like finding
so
the
much
gyms.
of what
That's
I love about it is,
rewarding.
like, just even on, like, the first 2 floors alone that I've been to, like, just some of the cool stuff that I found hidden in the world is so cool. And they're cleverly hidden, too. Like, you could walk past like a vending machine 100 times and then realize, what if I tried to pull that over? And then all of a sudden you find this like hidden compartment behind it, and like I found one of the rooms in the hotel that had like a chest of drawers, and then you open the chest and then you could pull like the back of the backing from off or something, and there was like a whole room hidden back there with a gym and some money and stuff. And like just the feeling you get when you find it is like really
I mean, I will say maybe with the gym I never feel a reward for fun. Like he opened that chest and there was a bunch of money in there. I was like, oh man, I wish there was something cool in there. Now the gym thing was cool. The gym he got was cool, but like
I'm eager to see what more of the like late game upgrades are, because like
I hope they're good.
Like in Dark Moon when you got the suction cup thing, let you like that was more of like a mid game upgrade that was kind of like, ooh, that's cool, but they give it to you almost right out of the bat.
My assumption is there will be some really cool stuff coming up later.
Yeah, and these games aren't short. Like Dark Moon alone was like 15 or 16 hours or something like that when I played it, and like I would imagine this is probably gonna be comparable, if not longer.
Probably.
And just some of the creative stuff they did in that second game was really impressive. So I'm really looking forward to playing more of this for sure.
So what I'm doing in the footage is being very confused because I just unlocked boos, and boos are a thing in the game where they're on. I think there's like one on every floor. Yeah, I just realized because I just backtracked.
That's
here
funny because
time.
I didn't know that either, and I'm like sitting here like, what the fuck?
But boos are like they're hidden on every floor, and they can be in like XYZ objects. And if you open the wrong object and that's not the one the boo's in, he's like, haha, you missed me, I'm actually over here. And he kind of jumps around to a bunch of different places. And the controller will vibrate when you get close to where he potentially might be. And it took me a while to kind of realize that. And I think by the end of the footage, I do realize, and I find him.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
This whole secret is just gold, right?
That is just gold.
I wouldn't be surprised at all, though, if like taking the time to find the gems or the booze somehow like adds a little bit extra to like the final cutscene or something.
I wouldn't be surprised, if you collect everything in there.
An achievement. But I don't know if they were being serious.
And that may not be super satisfying when you think about it, but you are still getting something extra. You are still getting that like feedback at the end. It's like oh, you spent the time to find it. And I don't know for sure if that's the case, but I kind of hope it is.
Here, let me ask you something about Gooigi. It's one of the big new things, and I understand how it works when you're playing single player. Do you think some of the puzzle elements of it would kind of go away if you're doing it co-op? Because I started playing with Malia. As soon as I got Gooigi out, she was controlling Gooigi.
I think it's swapping. Well, I think it's swapping out like the physical act of doing some of the puzzles with communication. Like the communication between the two players becomes kind of
Yeah, like making sure each person knows what they're trying to achieve or whatever. And
It'd be just as rewarding.
I could potentially
in a different
see
way, but
it being fun to fight maybe like a boss or something with two people.
Yeah.
It'll definitely probably make the game easier when you have the two people doing it instead of the one. I will say that Gooigi didn't have that much health. So, I mean, I don't know if that's practical, just because his health is only 25.
Maybe I should be Gooigi.
Maybe, yeah.
She should be Luigi.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Oh, God.
Okay. But yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. Like Nick said, game is very charming.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so funny.
It starts with fucking Toad driving a bus that he should not be driving because he can't see over the steering wheel.
The steering wheel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say the thing I've been saying for years, though?
What's up?
Nintendo gets a pass, but they shouldn't. Come on. The characters that are not Luigi and are not Mario should be voice acted.
Characters that are not Luigi.
Oh.
Not Mario.
Yeah, if they talk in the game, if there's a text box,
gotcha.
why is that
Like
shit not voice
Professor
acted?
Egad should be voiced.
Come on, man.
I'll be honest, like, it does the whole thing with, like, the little, the distorted, like,
Yeah.
voice.
Whatever.
But,
What
like,
am I reading?
But dude,
Simlish?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, dude. That's part of the charm for me, especially in this game. Maybe not so much in other games, but like,
I mean,
for whatever reason, just the way the way they handle the voices and like the distorted,
Nick.
Dude, I think it's
no,
great.
I don't.
Apologist. You're an apologist, Nick.
In this case, I am. Maybe I am.
Look. There are games where I think it is charming. Like I think Animal Crossing, like their voice, like their like Simlish or whatever voices are great because everyone sounds so like different. But
I feel like it's the same here.
it doesn't feel like that to me.
Oh man,
like it just seems like wasted opportunity.
dude, I almost feel like if you had them fully voice acted, there's a chance it could lose some of its personality.
No. You have Luigi and Mario the way that they are. Keep them silent. Keep them like.
Well, they're not silent.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Luigi does talk.
Yeah, but keep it like that. Keep it like fucking Mr. Bean or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the other characters, if they have text boxes, they should just be voice acted, man. Like it wouldn't lose the charm. It really wouldn't. You just have to make sure the voice acting is fucking good. But there's no reason
I'm just saying
that Nintendo can't have good voice acting.
My favorite thing about Professor Gad, or is that his name?
Egad.
Egad, is his voice.
I think his name
like
is
his
Professor
little like his little Charlie Brown voice. Like I find it hilarious.
Yeah, but imagine if it
You
was.
realize he's speaking Japanese. Right?
Imagine if it was Josh Gad.
I don't. Oh my God.
Jesus.
Huh?
Only if he sounds like what's his face?
The
from
better
Frozen.
Gad.
Sure. The best Gad.
Kill the conversation like that.
It's too clever.
Yeah, it's too clever for us.
It was,
Brad. It's too much. Oh, see that?
Oh, look, that's cool.
Yeah, right?
Spooky.
Yeah, you can pick up the jack-o'-lanterns and reflect the...
So, you know what? I turned off the vertical aiming with the right analog stick.
You can do that.
Yeah, you can make it to where the right analog stick only moves horizontal, and then you just use motion.
I
to
do like the
vertical.
motion control for doing the vertical.
Yeah, but because sometimes when I'm moving the camera around, I'm like pointing at the fucking ground. That eliminates that. You'll always aim straight ahead unless you're doing motion.
That is pretty good.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It works well.
Let's revisit this again.
I have no idea how to get
I'm going to
that
be
one.
playing a ton of this.
I'm just watching Nolan solve all the fucking puzzles for me.
Dude, I honestly solved nothing. Like it. Like,
also, like this game
stuff
is...
gets a lot.
But like you're at
packed, man.
where I'm at, where I just got Gooigi, so like I can go back and
now
get a
you
bunch
know
of
to go
stuff,
back,
and now I just solve them all.
Nah, I mean, it's fine. Honestly, all of those were fairly obvious. Like
Yeah.
some of the later levels I'm on now, they're getting a lot more complicated, and they're getting a lot more like clever kind of.
But most
like,
importantly, those gyms don't matter at all.
One thing worth mentioning before we move on, I just thought...
if they matter to you, they matter, Brad. What's up, Nick?
One thing I think is just kind of cool from a conceptual standpoint is like the thing that you're like trying to find, the quest, I guess. I mean, aside from you trying to obviously rescue Mario and Prince Peach and everyone, but like the thing that you collect to help you progress are the buttons to the elevator.
Yeah.
Like you find a button and it's like, ooh, I can go to the
the
next.
ghost saw all the
I
buttons
can go
in
to
the
the
elevator.
yeah.
So
That's
you can't
that's
go to
the star.
I can
Yeah.
go to the next level because I found the now I'm going to the 5th floor. Like that's just
cool. No,
that's a cool
I've been
concept.
enjoying it. It's just like when I have my frustrations over something like the reward structures. It's not inherently bad, but it's like I think of other games where they do it so well when like you've worked hard to find a secret or get that reward, and that reward feeds back into like a really good like skill system, unlock system. It's like that's like fucking best gaming, for me. And just see it here as just like missed opportunity.
Well, it
frustrating.
Gives you that fucking dopamine hit.
It may not be a missed opportunity, though.
Fucking secrets.
It may not be a missed
No,
opportunity.
it's not a dopamine hit because it's actually giving me rewards that are useful.
No, for sure. But it is a dopamine hit.
It's both.
No.
Let's move on. All right, so I want to talk about another game that is new-ish that I've been playing on the feed a little bit. It is a horror game. Last night, it really fucked me up. I've been playing The Beast Inside, which is one of those kickstarted horror games, I guess.
Oh, you say that like it's a negative.
No. I mean, actually, I think a lot of some of the like most interesting horror games to come out in the past few years have been born from like these Kickstarter projects and whatnot. Yeah. The only it's a trade off because you're getting these like cool concepts, these cool stories, and a lot of times they look really good, but they suffer in other, like technically speaking, sometimes they're a little rocky. I think this is a little rough around the edges in terms of just like the smoothness of the experience, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I've streamed it about 3 times so far. It has a lot in common with like I'm getting some Amnesia vibes. Okay. But conceptually speaking,
reading a lot of notes.
I think it's a little bit of Amnesia combined with Eternal Darkness. And I say Eternal Darkness because it's one of those games where it takes place in the same location but in 2 totally different time periods. So every chapter you switch, you jump between 2 different characters, and like one is the main character when you first arrive at this like house is like actually, and this is actually a really cool framing device for the story. But you show up and you are it's during the Cold War and you are a government code breaker, so you're trying to decode Russian communications and whatnot, and to try and get away from the stress and the being in the midst of this war. You go out, you and your wife go out to this like house in the middle of nowhere so you can just quietly try and focus on decoding these things, right?
Of course.
And that's where shit starts to go wrong. So like his story is all kind of progressing as it becomes like he becomes more and more paranoid that he thinks there's Russian spies watching the house and stuff. And then you find these diaries pages, and when you read the diary page, you flash back to the 1800s with the person who lived in the house then, and that's where it's like super fucking Amnesia fucked up. Like there's these creepy like spirits that are like haunting you, and I can't tell if they're like physical beings or whatnot, but they can a lot of times like murder you really brutally and stuff.
Well, if they're murdering you, they're probably pretty physical.
Yeah, I mean, like they're like they're ghosts, like they can like evaporate, right? But like they also carry like pickaxes and
the
stuff.
The dude on the subway
you.
taught them how to physically interact with a human.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a really cool concept, and like it tells 2 stories kind of running parallel to each other that I think are both interesting. Where the game is, it's one of these games too where it's like you can tell the developers, especially maybe this is a byproduct of being a Kickstarter game, but like the developers like had so many ideas and so many things that they wanted to do, and their solution, and maybe they felt like they had to because of maybe stretch goals or something, they had to put all of it in there. So like,
so what you just said is sort of the actual definition of Eurojank. Now this is sort of like indie jank, right? Yeah. But I mean that's what Eurojank means. Yes. When biting off way more than they can chew.
And to be fair, I think this game looks really good, especially if you have a higher end PC that can run it. It's been a fairly smooth experience from a graphical standpoint and whatnot, and it's a really beautiful game. But it's also kind of like the voice acting is maybe is questionable. Like everyone seems very rigid and like very calm about what's going on around them, despite the fact that everything is actually really fucked up. But like the story they're telling is still pretty interesting, so it's kind of easy to look past the cookie cutter voice acting. But like every chapter is a little bit different and has you doing something. Yes, dude. So like this chapter is kind of following up where I played last night, and it actually has you in these like mines underground, and you're trying to find your way through the mine. But it's also one of these levels where like you're following like pathways and you're trying to find the exit. But like if you take a wrong turn, it like the game kind of stealthily like reloads and like changes the layout on you, so you get really disoriented really fast. And you're trying to find clues to get you out of there, and then about halfway through this sequence they introduce this like ghost that's like wandering the halls trying to find you, so it's kind of like find your way out while also avoiding this, which I've seen in other games, obviously. But like it also is
like Resident Evil 7 a little bit.
Resident Evil 7. This is also this level reminds me of Outlast, but like it's almost like every chapter of the game reminds me of something a little bit different, which is cool. But like even like the smaller mechanics are very weird. And there's a lot of them. A lot of the puzzles are very physics based. So like if you walk up to like a fence, like there's like these boards. You actually have to hold the mouse button to like grab the board, and then you have to like pull it in a certain direction to have him like break them off. And like you have to actually like click on things to have him like turn cranks and all that kind of stuff. But the weirdest thing about this game is actually in the present day sequences where you're playing the Codebreaker guy, which is actually like the moments of like levity where you're like, I need a breather, I need to stop like all this
until they're not.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
sure
they're slowly starting to become a little more fucked up. But like he has like he finds this like thing in this like shed that is something out of Ghostbusters, dude. I don't even know how else to describe it. It's like it can read like it's like it describes it as like people leave like traces of themselves everywhere they go, and this thing is like designed to like read it. So you actually have to like follow like these like
I've seen Ghost Hunters.
yeah it's like that.
They're always like, this dude just invented this technology and it can totally detect ghosts.
Electromagnetic.
Yeah, but it takes place during the Cold War, and like
so it's a PKE meter.
I mean, kind of, but with like it actually with a screen that shows you a manifestation of what you're tracking on on there. So they use that in some pretty interesting ways.
So it just looks like a bed sheet.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but like it's pretty. It's interesting, and it's like. By the way, that part right there freaked the shit out of me.
I noticed.
Robin was watching me record this, and we both screamed. We had all the windows open, and we both like screamed at the top of our lungs when that happened.
Windows open? What is this, California?
Dude, it was nice outside.
Well, I mean, his prospects didn't look too good there.
It was nice outside. But anyways, I'm really enjoying this game. I think maybe the best thing I can say about it is that like every level feels distinct, and every level has you doing something a little bit different. I ended up the one level ended up in a surprise boss fight where I had like a gunfight with a ghost.
What? Were they ghost bullets?
No, but
or
like
the ghosts have a real gun.
No, it's weird. It's like the ghost in like what was that movie?
Ghost.
13 Ghosts. Is that
Never seen that.
Which ghost? Wasn't there 13 of them?
Where they have all the ghosts locked in like
in the mansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were all kind of like physical ghosts. Like they're semi-physical.
Yeah.
They could interact with you, but like
and that one had boobs.
And the one had boobs too. But it's like that.
I do remember
Tony
that movie now.
and his kids.
Yeah,
remember that horror movie where Chris Kattan was a friendly ghost at the end, but it was like not a comedy.
Chris Kattan. Yeah. Who's Chris Kattan?
Mr. Peepers?
Chris Kattan.
Who's Mr. Peepers?
From Saturday Night Live.
Mr. Peepers?
You
don't remember Mr. Peepers?
It's drawn a blank.
Somebody in chat would know what I'm talking about.
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank.
Dude, I remember. I'll never forget.
Oh,
Mr.
Chris Kattan
with
okay.
the Rock.
Yeah, the one with the Rock.
Corky Romano. Sure.
Yeah.
That's how you remember it?
Well, no, I was about to go Night at the Roxbury.
Yes. Oh yeah.
But hold on. So what was he? He was a good ghost. What?
He was a ghost.
And what
House on Haunted Hill. That's what it was called. Yeah, it was just like a horror movie. But at the end, they're saved by Chris Kattan, who died earlier in the movie, and he was a ghost, and he was a friendly ghost.
I remember that now. Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
That was if I'm remembering that correctly. That was if I remember House on Haunted. If I always get that and 13 Ghosts mixed up, but I think it's House on Haunted maybe.
No,
but
that Chris Davis. You're asking if that was the one with Catherine Zeta-Jones? No, that was The Haunting, which is also
Haunting. Yeah, those all suck.
I just remember it was one of those movies,
bad.
and early on she has like a digital camera or whatever, and she like pulls it out, and I swear to God, it's like 8 inches like long, like 6 inches
like a
wide.
laptop.
Dude, it's like this giant chunk of plastic, and she's like, "Oh, the digital camera," and it's like, and it's just like this huge contraption, and the screen's like 1 inch by 1 inch.
Brad, you watched the Haunting of Hill House, right?
Yeah.
Did you know that is a remake, or that is basically The Haunting, the one that you just called bad, right? With Catherine Zeta-Jones, is the same story, the same characters.
But wasn't that Haunting the remake of the old movie The Haunting, which is a classic horror movie?
Yeah, but like that's the same thing with House on
Dude,
Haunting.
Holy
of Hill
shit!
House.
All I did was Google House on Haunted Hill, and literally the first thing that comes up is her with the giant ass, fucking like digital camera.
Yeah, the original of that though had Vincent Price, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Vincent Price was like the eccentric millionaire who had the house, and he like offered people money if they could stay in there.
Well, yeah, but that's the House on Haunt. That's the Haunt. No,
House on Haunted
House
Hill.
on Haunted Hill.
Man.
It's so confusing.
The original house on Haunted Hill was.
What a
I actually thought that was pretty creepy.
Which one has Jeffrey Combs from Reanimator as the ghost of that surgeon who like takes the scalpel and goes like on that girl's face and her like face just falls off?
I don't know, but I had
Wasn't
to
that
see
one of
this.
those?
That was Equilibrium.
That was equal. That's what it was. Sean Bean was in that movie.
Yeah, he was.
Where can we go from here? Sean Bean was also.
I'm gonna rein this back in. I'm done talking about it. I think this is a really cool like horror game. It's actually, I would say it's probably a highlight of the year so far for me, just because it's like it's so varied and there's so many things going on and they're all pretty well done. There's some really interesting puzzles in here too, like really
I will say
kind of mind-bending puzzles.
The puzzles.
It does seem interesting, but picking the "I'm lost in this mine" for footage recording is just probably unfortunate.
Sometimes you just happen to be there when you record footage.
I know. That's exactly what happens. I'm saying that's kind of unfortunate.
I said that exact thing. It's funny because I said that exact thing to Robin when I started recording. I was like, "Fuck! Why did I have to start recording this?" And then, and the funny thing is, I recorded for about 10 minutes before this footage, and I stopped and I was like, "This is no good," because I was trying to solve the puzzle, which involved having to read these notes to try and find clues as to how to use those green lights to like find your way out. And it took me like 10 minutes for us to like wrap our head around it and figure it out. And then I was like, now we know how it works. Now I'm going to record.
Someone find me a good indie horror game with no notes.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think that's possible.
Audio logs
the notes here are definitely not.
Take audio logs. I'll take audio logs.
I almost forgot to mention, like talking about like how like many random mechanics they just kind of threw everything in the kitchen sink in. Like I talked about him being a decoder.
Yeah,
they threw in a decoder machine, and you have to learn how the decoder machine works. And they use it throughout the game, where you have to like use this cipher to like figure out like what number when a letter equals another letter, how it like translates.
That's cool.
It's really cool, but like it's like one of like 10 different things they just threw into this game, and it's like it's kind of a mess in terms of like trying to remember all the different things to work with at any given time. Like I completely forgot the decoder thing existed for a while. And then someone was like, "Have you tried using the decoder thing?" And I was like, "Oh fuck, shit, I forgot." Shit. But yeah, really cool game. If you're looking for like another indie horror game, I think this is definitely a highlight. I was really hesitant to play it because there had been like almost no reviews for it. I bought this almost purely based off of Steam reviews.
Wow.
Which said it was very positive. So I was like, I hope it's not as big a gamble as it seems, and it turned out pretty good. So, and Chai Tai's been playing, he recommended it as well.
I heard that he hasn't died once yet.
Oh my god.
Damn.
All right. Let's talk about Disco Elysium for a second.
Do you want to?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. I jumped into Disco Elysium myself. I've only played about 2 hours so far, but I know Crispy's been pretty we talked about it the other night.
Yeah, I think I'm somewhere like 10 hours.
Last time I talked to you, it was only 5, so you've been
8.
You've been going.
Sure.
He's at least played 5 hours.
Story wise, I've gotten to the end of the first day.
Okay.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I mean that's where I was at.
Does the whole
more or less?
Does it seem like the whole game kind of takes place in and around the area where you find the body, or does it ever like go to a different location?
You do go to a different location. Yeah, okay. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of world lore too. I don't know if you guys know that because I have a really high encyclopedia, so I'm getting a lot of lore.
Okay, so I heard encyclopedia can be wrong sometimes, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
So last time we talked about Brad, you had said you had created a sensitive character.
Yeah.
Crispy made a thinker. I did create a custom
Crispy,
character.
stop playing footsie with me.
Oh, is that your fault?
I think he thought he was rubbing Butters.
I thought that was Butters.
But he's just been like rubbing my foot.
Butters, your fur so firm.
I was like, what is this part hanging off your side, Butters?
What are these 5 tumors? Let me just stroke your 5 hard tumors.
Hey, where'd you get that hat?
All right.
Yeah, I got that hat too.
So just so we're
this is my footage from last week.
Damn it! Just so we're on the same page here.
What thoughts do you have?
Shut up!
You're killing me.
You talk about your own experience.
Let me just. So we're on the same page here. So we've all talked about our characters, right? I created a custom character, which.
Okay, but what did you do?
Did you do Inland Empire? You have to do.
I did not do. I was trying to do something specifically different than what y'all were doing.
Sure.
And I think the focal your focus. I picked.
He's very fast and organized. I don't know. What did you pick?
Oh God! Now you're throwing me off, and I can't.
Oh, I haven't even gotten the fucking map yet.
Yeah, you got to buy them now.
I forgot what it's called. It's
From
the,
the
You have
library.
to buy them.
From the
Matt.
bookstore. Yeah.
it's the one where you see art and everything.
Okay.
Conceptualization.
Conceptualist,
Yeah,
yes.
that one's
that was
cool.
my
So
specialization.
you can actually look at the mural. I have like a 1% chance to look at the mural.
I mean,
That's like not there.
on the wall.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
one where you're like, this wall, I
Yeah.
have to paint it.
Yeah.
I tried to imagine it too, and I couldn't.
it's so cool hearing y'all talk about it and not really and seeing the footage, but not really getting a feel for like how
Did
it works.
you put points into visual calculus?
No.
Visual
calculus is really
I know.
cool.
Again, I had to avoid the temptation because I was specifically trying to do things that y'all didn't do
Okay.
for the sake of conversation and just so I could see how it affected the game.
Half-Life.
So yeah, I
Isn't the skill art awesome?
and I will say,
Love
yeah,
it.
dude, the skill. I think
It is so good. I want like
It's a beautiful
I want
game.
prints of
It's
all of those.
it's a beautiful
like,
game.
it's fucking beautiful, and not even just the art you talking about, like
This
the actual
fucking
world
guy.
art. I think is really cool. It actually reminds me of like Dishonored a little bit in terms in the way
I can
it
see
looks.
it.
Measurehead. This guy. He sucks.
Measurehead. His name's Measurehead, so of course he sucks.
Yeah, because he's into phrenology.
Yeah.
What's phrenology?
It's like the pseudoscience of like measuring people's skulls and correlating it to like
Racism.
Gotcha.
racism. Yeah.
No.
Dude, it like so I've only like I said I've only played like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, I guess, and I've just kind of barely gotten outside of the
Physical instrument. Did you hit him?
Yeah. I'm a sensitive bruiser.
When I tried to do that, he just caught my fist, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go the other way."
Yeah, that's what he did before I started recording. When I was just playing, but then I started recording footage, and I rolled well, and I was like, "Oh,
Dude, that's
awesome.
what's great too. Is like even when you're really shitty in a skill, like you can sometimes
yeah."
roll like better than you're supposed
Yeah.
to.
dude. I'm really digging the rolling
What
system.
the fuck?
Like the dice roll system
Super cut.
is so cool because like when it gives you a dialogue option or like an option to like a branching path
Yeah.
or whatever, and it shows you the percentage chance.
Mhm.
Like every time I'm sitting here like, oh, maybe I should do it, but like there are negative consequences to doing it and failing sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
you have to be kind of
it's
careful
fun
about
though.
it.
It's fun to fail in
Dude,
this game.
it's fun, but like that moment when you roll it and you see the screen kind of like flash green for a second, and you're like, "Oh yes!" It was so good. And I went up on the roof of the building in the courtyard where the body is, and you could see your coat that was like hanging on a tree, or whatever.
Yeah.
The cloak.
And so because
oh my god, what happens when you make that jump is beautiful.
I did not make the jump. Did either of y'all try it and not
I
make
made
it? So I didn't.
but
make
but
it.
like you got the dialogue options when you just sort of freeze in air. Freeze in the air.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant.
I
Like,
love it.
who's the writer for this game? Because he's a crazy person.
I know. It like the whole like the dialogue tree for this game is so crazy complex. I can't.
It is
weird.
the most compelling game that. So this is just kind of an anecdote maybe that I think is a testament to. So like I would say this game is not like Robin saw me playing this first. She's like, "What the fuck is this? Like this is very strange." And then she sat there and she started reading the dialogue for a second, and it took her like 30 seconds. She was like kind of hooked. She sat there for like.
Dude, the
And
writing
she was just like,
itself is so
and she's like,
good.
"That's hilarious." She's like, "You should do this or you should do that." And I was like, and it took like all of 30 seconds of like reading a line of dialogue to kind of like get its hooks in you.
Yeah.
Let me, you know, I think a true testament to like the strength of the writing of this game is that you can be in situations, you can get results that are like demonstrably bad. Like you can fail shit and still feel like it's a worthwhile experience.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
and still feel like, okay, cool, because like every single failure, every single like foible or fuck up like plays back into this disaster of a human being
Yeah.
that you're playing.
Oh my
In,
god!
like, such an entertaining way.
That's the starting point. That's why it works.
Like, yeah,
because the only thing you know about yourself
Is you're
for
a
sure
fucking drunk.
is that you're a fuck up.
yeah, is that you're just a fucking horrible, and you just like keep learning about like all the fucked up shit you've done and like all the ways you fucked up. So like you failing, you know, any like some sort of like physique check, or you failing to make a logical connection in the case or something like that, like feels interesting. It doesn't feel like I'm getting blocked out of content
Yeah.
that I should be playing because my stats weren't
Sure.
high.
Exactly.
You know?
Did any of y'all have the conversation? I'm assuming you probably did. The conversation where you call the precinct to tell them that you had lost your badge,
Yes.
because at the beginning you misplaced your badge, right? And then someone like in the background makes a
And
joke about, next thing you're gonna tell me is you lost your gun, and then he realizes, oh shit,
Yeah.
I should probably have a gun.
And you're just like, nope, definitely got my gun. Totally still have that.
So I
And they're like, shut that conversation down.
Because that would be terrible if you lost your gun.
But you don't even know that you don't have your gun until they bring it up, and then all of a sudden it starts showing up in conversations with people like, "Hey, have you seen my fucking gun?"
And it's like, dude, it's like, oh my god.
You know what's crazy? When I called the precinct, like, did y'all go into the bookstore and like
not yet. I haven't.
look
Yeah.
at the shit on the?
I
Like,
got-
I was looking at like the crime novels, and all of a sudden, characters from the book started like joining in my dialogue conversations. But then I realized later, when I called my precinct, that those are the people from my precinct. Like, it was blowing my mind.
Well, I do know, like, when I called the precinct, they all started calling me Dick something. Like,
Yeah.
they all started calling me a name.
But I
and
knew
then-
who that was
Yeah,
because
and then-
I had visited the
and then
bookstore.
oh no, I hadn't visited the bookstore yet, but
Yeah.
I had an encyclopedia check that was like, that is the name of a fictional detective, and you are definitely not him. And I was like, okay, cool. So they're making fun of me.
Oh,
Like,
damn it.
yeah.
See, I knew that because I was looking at the crime novels on the bookstore.
oh, see, I went to the bookstore. I was getting all the I don't remember what he's called, but the Conan the Barbarian.
It's so funny. Your encyclopedia your encyclopedic knowledge is sort of achieving the same goal as like my empathy,
Yeah.
but just in a different way.
It definitely comes at things from a completely different direction because like
Insight
and what's really
into like
funny,
so many people.
what's
and
really
characters.
funny about being like an amnesiac fuck up who actually does have like decent cognitive abilities is that like your brain's telling you all this stuff and you're just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I know what that is. Like,
It's like there's conversations where he's like, because I am definitely a cop.
yes.
Right.
I'm just apologizing.
Oh yeah, I got sorry cops. I love too, like, so the thought system. Or,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they call it. I think it's thoughts, right? Or
yeah, thoughts.
like where when you perform certain actions or you select certain
Repeatedly.
dialogue. When you start like forming trends, like your character comes up with thoughts, like different parts of your brain will chime in and be like, "Hey, this is a thing now," and you can research it by taking a temporary hit in like certain stats to research it, and then once you've researched it, it gives you some kind of benefit or some kind of boon going forward. So like I had one where like after a conversation, my rhetoric popped up and was like, "Hey, so you talk a lot about killing rich people, eating the rich, like supporting the people, and it's like okay, so we're doing this. We're turning on the big communism builder machine. We're gonna build communism. We're gonna make the best communism this world's ever seen." And I'm just kind of like,
It's being an ass about it, right?
Yeah, like I'm kind of like, well, yeah. I mean, I guess sure. Let's build communism, and
You're gonna be the one to get it
it's
right.
like, and it's like, yeah, totally. This is gonna work. You're gonna get it right, and then it's like, all right, we're doing it. We're building communism. We're gonna build communism. Get the death squads going. We're building communism. And I'm like, whoa, wait. I didn't say anything about death squads, and rhetoric's like, nope, too late. We're building the machine. So now every time I have like a conversation with like a union worker or something like that, or I say something that kind of references like the social economic situation of the world that you're in, like rhetoric will pop in and be like, "You're the big communism builder, bud. Like you're getting on it. You're gonna build communism." Like, it's really fun, and it's especially funny that you can commit to that stuff and still kind of like tug against it.
I wonder how many people were involved in the actual writing process.
I don't know.
Like, I'm wondering if it's just one person locked in a room for like 6 months and they're just like, make as much, just pour everything out of your head onto like a piece of paper and then just like connect it all somehow in an
fucking
interesting
weird.
way.
He just has a post-it
Dude, not-
like communism question mark.
Like everything about it is really interesting because it's not just the characters and the dialogue and like
8
the actual
people.
mystery that you're solving, but like this world, the more you learn about it, the more like fascinating it is because it's just like this really weird alternate reality Earth that has a completely different like political social situation from our Earth. Like everything's kind of the same but really different. Like it's
So,
oh,
like,
man.
I almost think of, like, it's weird 'cause I don't really usually have this feeling when I'm playing a game, but like you always, when you're thinking about like a television show or you're hearing from people that have worked on a television show, you always hear the term like writer's room. And I don't usually think about writer's rooms in relation to like making a game, but like This
Well,
is
they
a game
have-
I can picture, like,
Yeah.
because Mr. Green Toe says 8 people were involved, and I'm just trying to imagine
That's
8
not-
people in a room.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not crazy.
Like Obsidian has a bunch of writers as well.
I know it's
Yeah.
just this game in particular, because of how integral the writing is, or how like at the forefront the like physical words on a screen
Mhm.
are to this game. I think about it that way more, like almost like just how many people had to come together and like combine their thoughts to like make something this intricate is kind of mind blowing. Because I've never played a game with a dialogue system.
Usually what they'll do is they'll let different writers handle like different like quest lines or
Yeah.
like side quests or like certain characters. Like if they're companions, might be like one writer. So you know Kevin Van Ord works at Larian now, right, as a writer.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, he used to be at GameSpot.
Spot. Yeah.
Spot. He used to be at GameSpot, and you know he was talking about how on Divinity Original Sin 2 he handled pretty much all the you know, the character Beast,
Yeah.
all his like personal quest stuff.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, that's cool. So like, if that character sucks, it's his fault.
I mean, I feel like this is.
I didn't choose Beast.
It would be fast. This is one of those games where I feel like it would be almost like I kind of feel this way about Return of the Obra as well. Like fascinating. It would be really fascinating to like learn the specifics of how these particular stories come together from a conceptual standpoint, because they're so intricate, and you can do them in so many different ways. Like so many things have to fit together correctly to make this work.
It's crazy to me
It's-
that you're having like a whole conversation with this guy. Because when
Oh,
you
the
meet
guy-
this guy, he's asleep, and I tried to wake him up and I couldn't because I didn't have a high enough
Yeah, the guy asleep at the
physical
bar.
instrument
Yeah.
to wake him. So this entire encounter ended with me stealing his card and then like noticing that there was like some rum like spilled on the counter and like just leaning over and like licking the spot of dried rum because I'm an alcoholic.
Dude, I found drugs in a place once, and I was like, I don't know how my partner
Oh
feels
my
about
God.
drugs.
I kind of
But
I
I
have
can
a
fi-
very high electrochemistry. I think I'm gonna just
I kind of regret
start doing
not
heavy
like,
drugs in this game.
not hanging out with that Kuno kid, the Kuno.
Oh my
right?
god!
Because he's like
Wait, I'm sorry.
Wait.
Hanging out with him?
yeah, because
I
like
have
there's
no idea what the
well,
fuck
no,
y'all
but
are
there's like
talking
there's
about.
dialogue options when you first start talking to him and you realize that he's like fucking high. You can be like, yo, yeah, cool, man, what's up? Like, where's the drugs? Like, you can like try to make friends with him and see if he'll like give you drugs. Like,
What we're trying to
I
say,
don't know.
Nolan,
And the other
is that you should play this
It's
game.
on my to-do list.
that Kuno S,
All right.
Kuno,
the girl Kuno.
I think we've made it pretty abundantly clear that we are enjoying the hell out of Disco Elysium. So
I ain't enjoying shit.
if you're
shivers.
listening,
I have a high shivers. It's bizarre.
But
like
I put a point in shivers as well. If you are listening or watching, and you have not yet checked this game out, you should go look it up because it's really fucking cool, and you're probably going to hear a lot more about it from us in the future.
It's really good.
So
But you just kind of gotta play it.
yeah, it is definitely one of those things you kind of have to experience. All right, let us take a break. When we come back from said break, we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to revisit the Outer Worlds. I want to talk a little bit about my experience so far with Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC. And then we're going to answer some questions from our supporters on Patreon. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, everyone. We have a couple more impressions to get through. Nolan,
Mm-hmm.
I hear you've been playing some more Outer Worlds.
A little bit.
I too have played a few more hours of that. Not a huge jump, but I have played some more. How is it holding up for you?
I mean, honestly, same. We talked about last week. Nothing insane has happened.
Yeah, we had a conversation before the show a little bit about difficulty. I think.
Yeah. That it's
maybe a little breezy.
yeah. And honestly, I don't mind it. I'm in that kind of mood where I'm not looking to redo stuff. You know, I'm not looking for like frustration challenges.
Yeah.
What I will say that I do enjoy about the game is the fact that it does autosave quite often. You save anywhere, whatever. So often, if I know I'm about to get into combat and I don't like how it goes, I can quickly recover from that. One frustrating moment I had, though, was there's this quest line you'll get into on Monarch? I can't remember. The planet where when you start, you land at like an old town.
Mhm.
It's where you meet the companion, one of the later companions.
With the pink hair?
Maybe, yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's Monarch.
Okay, so that's Monarch. Okay.
That's where I'm at right now.
So there's a quest line you'll get into this
Mm-hmm.
with kind of 3 factions that are involved
Yep.
with it. And at the end, you can end it peacefully or with some bloodshed.
Yes.
And what I didn't realize was I missed one part just because I think I glanced over a conversation on accident.
Mm-hmm.
I chose the wrong option,
Mm-hmm.
and that option completely nullified my ability to end it without bloodshed.
Ooh.
And I was really upset by that because I didn't want to end it without bloodshed.
You didn't want to end it with bloodshed.
Thank you. I wanted no bloodshed between. I wanted everyone to be happy.
Yes.
And I was like, fuck. So I looked it up online real quick, and it was like, oh yeah, in this mission you have to do this to trigger this other thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, I didn't do that.
I feel like that's a pretty big oversight for. I mean, I feel like up until this point, a lot of the game's strength has been in how freeform it is, and that there is a lot of you can go back and forth until you're ready to make that final decision.
It's more so that there's a singular character in this thing who is like the crux of it all. Like if they agree to end it without bloodshed, everything's fine.
But if that person
and
dies,
I made them upset is what
Oh.
happened. And so they're like, I don't want to work with you because you did this and I don't agree with that, so fuck off. So it does make sense. Looking back, it made sense. So what I ended up having to do, because I really wanted to end it without bloodshed, was I had to reload the save that was right before I had made one of those decisions.
Which was
And I had just saved over that save file. So an hour and a half of playtime I redid. But holy shit.
But I mean,
But you don't even know. The hour and a half, maybe a little more, maybe 2 hours of playtime, I did everything again in like 40 minutes. Because
Wow.
I fucking just sprint. I knew what I had to do. Sprint here. Did this. I knew exactly what I had to do.
I appreciate your dedication.
And I just
Nolan.
fucking redid it all. No bloodshed. Everyone was happy.
but I mean,
Including
I
you.
was happy.
what's wrong with the little bloodshed, man? Fuck them.
It's more so there's this one there's I mean obviously one of the big kind of points in this game is about capitalism. It's a big deal, corporations being this and whatever. So there's a group of there's a guy who kind of not necessarily is a corporate guy, but he has those corporate leanings. He likes to run it like this, blah blah blah. There's a group of people who have broken off from that. No corporations, everything's bad, blah 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 blah. Right? They don't want any corporations. They want to live on their own in freedom. Now they want to storm the fucking town who's still run by a corporate guy and kill everyone there.
Yeah, fuck them. I mean, no.
Even though those are just people living
I'm
their
sensing
lives.
some differences between you two.
And so don't get me wrong. That corporate guy, he's not a bad guy. He actually is a good guy. And that's why I didn't want that town to be overrun. And I'm like, hey, how about we make peace? And that corporate guy was like, you know what? You're right. As long as this person's cool with it, let's have peace. And I'm like, sweet. And I go to that person and they're like, fuck off. And that was kind of the shitty scenario, is I had messed it up. Once I redid it and everything was fine, peace could be had. But I had to redo that. And that was the only thing. And that was obviously, I think it maybe was an oversight on my part, but it was one of those things where I didn't realize there was.
I feel like there should never be like one thing.
Well,
There should be like 2 or 3 things that have to happen to like completely lock you out of something.
I agree with you there.
I guess, but I mean, I think one of the most refreshing parts of
I
like
agree,
New
Prince.
Vegas was when you make a decision and then all of a sudden like quests would just fade away.
Oh no, and that happens
Like,
here.
failed,
that does
failed,
happen here.
failed.
Like when you'll do a thing, it'll pop up. It's like quest failed. This quest line has now been failed because you did something. But the problem was I had not. So you have to do. There, you go on this one mission on this planet, and this guy's like, "Hey, can you do this?" And this girl's like, "Hey, can you do this?" They each ask you to do something different. And when you get to that like a person, it's literally a conversation with a person, and she's like, "Hey, do you want option A or do you want option B?" She literally asks. And depending on which one you choose, it will open up a new quest line once you go back. So I never got that quest line to fail because I chose the wrong option and that person didn't want to work with me.
Gotcha.
That's really unfortunate.
But I redid it and everything worked out fine. It just, like I said, it took me a while.
One thing I don't have a whole lot to add this week because I've only played another 3 or 4 hours of it. But one thing that's kind of bugging me, and I think it gets kind of a pass because I think the writing is pretty solid and it's entertaining all the way through. But like there hasn't been that moment where like a moral decision felt like super heavy,
like a weight to it.
Yeah, like obviously the obvious one is if you think back to Fallout 3 and you think about Megaton.
Oh, sure.
Like the decision to blow up Megaton was like really hard.
I think that's because of it's a literal option of do you want to nuke a town?
Yeah.
Whereas this was kind of a similar scenario. There was literally a town of people, not like 2 people. Like there's a good 100 people in this town. Do you want to choose the option that causes them to all be killed?
Yeah. And a lot of the decisions you make are like impact entire communities.
Yeah.
But like not in the same way, not in this like set piecey way. And
Sure.
I feel maybe that's it. The game feels like it's missing set pieces.
Why did I blow up Megaton?
I think
it's fun.
I think it's because they put
You did?
I did.
definitely did.
I did it too because they literally
Monsters.
I did it, and then I reloaded the save.
I killed everybody in Tenpenny Tower.
Oh yeah, I reloaded the save and then killed everyone in Timothy Tower because they were all assholes.
I blew him up and killed everybody in.
But I think that's
Tiffany
just
Tower.
a
Jesus
byproduct of just because
I think I was trying to kill Moira, but
What?
then she survived.
yeah, she survives. That's
and I
hilarious.
was like, no, because I hated her so much.
Why? Moira's nice.
No.
I think that all comes down to like the way they presented that option made it really enticing to do either one, right? Because they literally you go open this tower and they put like the button.
Yeah, the button.
There's the button. There's the thing, and like you're like, well, how many times am I going to get an opportunity like this?
Maybe
You know
that's
what I
why
mean?
did that.
It's kind of hard to resist, even though.
Well, have you played Fallout 76? You get some nukes.
And I bet those don't feel anywhere near as impactful as Megaton because it was like that's the one time. It's the one decision you have to make, and it's hard. It's heavy. I haven't had that moment yet in this game, and I'm wondering if it's a budgetary issue, and it's just like a lot of the decisions are going to be smaller.
You
Because
literally want to nuke a town, Nick?
no, I just want.
He wants to nuke a planet.
I want there to be something that
He
I
just wants to have the option to nuke it.
No. Like the first big decision that I think is like analogous to Megaton, right?
Mhm.
Is whether you want to cut off the water supply to an entire town, and you make the decision, and it has this big like thing, right, that kind of dramatizes it. We have to like pull the switch.
Well,
and
you
watch.
cut off water supply to where?
Well, I cut it off to the corporate town. So
Okay.
that I rerouted it to the the people that had broken off from and like.
See, I did something different.
And I think that's cool. I think this is really cool that you have the decision to do this kind of thing, but like, they give you this big thing that like dramatizes it, right? It gives it like the red flashing lights and the noises, and you have to like pull the lever and watch it like, and that's supposed to feel like, oh, I've done something. And then from that point forward, the only thing that like changes is that you go talk to people in town, and they're like, oh, we don't have water anymore.
So they're all gonna die.
Yeah, but like you don't see the repercussions of that. They just kind of tell you it's happening. Which is a budgetary
Maybe
thing,
you'll
I'm sure.
see it later when they're all dead.
Maybe.
See, I'm
I'm still waiting for that moment, though.
I cut off water to the gardens, but then I got everyone in town to agree to those people coming back, and so now everyone's happy.
What are you talking about?
I didn't kill anybody.
On the first planet?
Yeah,
I
It was
killed.
power, not water.
whatever.
Was it power?
It was power.
Oh, okay. Well,
'Cause
No,
remember
well,
you
with-
needed the power company.
Without
Yeah,
the
right.
power, they can't have water. Is the thing.
you're both right. The point is,
The town
the
was
point
on the
is that
bay.
was supposed to feel.
You can't drink like seawater.
Okay, well, you can.
You shouldn't.
Once.
The
They
point
probably had
is,
desalination.
you guys suck. The
tablets.
point is, that was supposed to feel like the big
Sure.
like. ooh,
Was
and
it? Maybe there's another one later.
I mean, I haven't hit. I'm 15, 16 hours in, haven't hit it yet. So, I'm just waiting for something to feel a little bit more.
I got you.
serious. But yeah, well, I probably won't talk about this game again until I've finished it, which won't be too long, I'm sure.
I really need to knock it out because I'm trying to finish it before my 1 month of games with gold expires.
That's probably a good idea.
so I
too.
really need to knock it out.
Yeah. All right. So last game I want to talk about today, impressions wise. I won't talk about this for very long. I've been talking a lot about Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, have you?
I've been thinking a lot about
really?
it. Been waiting
Really?
with bated breath.
Oh,
Sweet
were
footage
you,
for us.
like,
I did bring footage,
playing
bitch.
that again or something?
Yeah,
Oh,
at some
Crispy,
point.
did you finish that game?
Okay.
I did.
Damn.
Oh shit!
Damn.
I'm finished with it.
I'm about to
Both
lap.
epilogues?
I'm about to
finished with
lap
it.
you.
Oh, you're finished with it.
Damn. But you saw the end of Arthur's story at least.
You're right. You're
All right.
right. Let's listen to Nick talk about this game.
All right. First of all, I'm not going.
You got me, Nolan.
First of all, I'm not going to bore you with the same old, same old. You've heard me talk about this game a lot. I want to specifically talk about two aspects. One, just how the PC version, I guess, holds up, because I played about 4 or 5 hours of it today, got through Chapter 1, got to the big open area, and immediately started hunting. Haven't touched another mission since.
Of course.
But I'm running this on PC, and I was really worried that my PC wasn't going to handle it, because I only have like one step above the recommended graphics card. Luckily, it's worked out pretty good for me so far. The only hit I've taken is that I can't use 4K resolution or HDR, which you think is a big deal, but luckily, I can run all the settings on Ultra at 1080p at 60 frames per second, but it's only running at 1080p. And it looks beautiful. It's a fucking beautiful game. I don't think you need me to tell you that. I think the 60 frames per second kind of makes the biggest difference here, because it is. I'm pretty surprised at how comparable it is, maybe to like the PS4 Pro version of it. But like the frame rate definitely makes a pretty noticeable difference. Everything obviously just looks a lot smoother, and of course, I'm just really loving experiencing the story again, which is why I'm playing it again. But I am taking this opportunity to experiment with some things that I didn't necessarily do the first time around. I've been playing a lot of it in first person, which I didn't do the first time around at all. I don't even think I tried it once. And so far, it's feeling. It kind of feels like almost like a different experience. Like I feel like I'm playing a first person shooter in like a really big open world, and like all the little details that they kind of put into like all the the third person animations and whatnot still play out the exact same way they would in first person, so you still feel just as like in the world and involved with everything. Sure. It has that that physical
You're
weight
gonna
to
get
it.
Nolan playing this shit again.
Well, Nolan was already gonna play it again.
Damn it!
I was playing it before you came over.
He was.
You motherfuckers!
Hey, I've said this many times. First of all, I don't. So Chris Davis is like. Chris Davis told me this week on Twitter that he was worried that I was going to be playing this. I was going to try and finish this game again before the end of the year.
Wait, Nick, how many hours do you think you're going to put into this?
Probably 200.
You're not going to put 700 hours into this? What?
I feel like y'all are going to get burned out.
You're not going to put 700 hours into this game?
Well, just because Brad thinks I'm going to get burnt out, I'm going to make sure I give him an update every single week. So
I'm talking about when you start doing like the story and.
No, I'm fucking loving the story so far. I mean,
when you get to that,
I think the story is.
What's that island?
Oh, Guarma.
Guarma.
You can get through the Guarma missions in like an hour.
Yeah, Guarma's not that long.
Guarma is super fucking short. I do agree with you. They probably could have removed that whole sequence or made that a cutscene or something. It would have been just fine. But, I'm not going to let that cut into an otherwise.
Don't steal from
amazing.
that dead man.
I totally stole from
You're
this dead man.
You're going to get negative cowboy karma.
I know. Anyways, I'm really enjoying playing in first person. The game looks amazing on PC. So one thing I thought was really interesting because I'm still fairly new at this whole PC, although strangely enough, I'm playing a lot of stuff on PC right now. But so I downloaded the NVIDIA drivers, obviously, and it has the option to like optimize, right? Sure. So like my TV can run at 4K, HDR, all that jazz. And my PC is not quite powerful enough to like comfortably render that. I get that resolution and also have everything set to ultra or whatever. So like when I hit the optimize button in NVIDIA, it cranks up the resolution to the absolute max and then turns everything else down to low, which is really unfortunate. So I had to spend like a good 30 minutes today like tweaking all of the individual settings to kind of get everything looking beautiful.
Have you thought about downsampling?
These are the kind of things you might need to like explain to me, because I don't know. I tweaked like some of the advanced settings a little bit, and everything. I turned pretty much everything up to ultra. There's a few things like few textures or like reflection, like water reflections. I turned down to medium. Things that I don't think.
Oh, medium on the water reflections.
Bitch, have you installed
you don't want to go up to high?
Have you not installed your new graphics card yet?
Tell us more about the reflections.
One thing, Nick, something like that I'll do in games is if especially if my computer is not. And my computer, while I do have a good computer, it can't play a lot of more modern games on ultra and stuff. I can play them on pretty high, but I'll often turn down like shadows. I don't really care as much about. I don't need my shadows to be fucking perfect. Yeah, it's all right if my shadows are a little boxy. They don't have to be perfectly textured. It's okay if water reflections and ambient and like. I don't think this game has a motion blur option, which is good, but often that's something I'll turn down in games because whatever. But I gotcha. So one thing to kind of comment on what Brad was saying. I started replaying Red Dead 2 like maybe 4 months ago. Not
Secretly.
not replaying. I mean, I think I brought it up once.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had kind of wanted to, like Nick said, kind of complete a lot of the stuff that exists in the world, and so I started redoing all of it. Not quite sure if I wanted to start from the beginning and try and do that, or pick up a save that I'd already done and just finish that. The problem was I knew there were a couple things I couldn't do because I'd already finished the story. But it was when I heard that this was coming out on PC that I put it down again, and I was like, "There's no point in me playing this on my PS4. I'm going to get it on PC, so I'll just wait until it comes out on PC, and then I'll pick it back up again."
It's a damn fine looking game.
Because yes, I know I can play it, and I'm not going to do it in 4K because I'm probably going to do it on my monitor. But that's 2K and 165 frames a second.
It does look better than the PS4 Pro, which was running,
I bet.
which for me was running with HDR and upscaled and everything to 4K. It looks better at 1080p on my PC with everything turned up than it did before. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, it has a photo mode.
And the photo mode's nice.
The thing is,
I took like
the fine
20
line
pictures
when you
today.
want to play this game 8 years from now, and you got like a fancy ass rig.
It's true.
This game is gonna look even more beautiful.
I know.
Way more beautiful.
Again, I just want to reemphasize so that Chris Dave doesn't have an aneurysm that I'm playing this in the background. I took today off to like jump into it and get a head start on it, but like this is the kind of thing I'm going to play every couple days, maybe on the weekends over a little bit. Just I'll be playing this for like a year probably. But I just want to say the PC version so far is. I heard some people are having some problems getting it running.
Mods.
I'm looking forward to the mods. That's true.
Yeah,
the single player. The mods
maybe
would be
they could do something with the eating system and stamina system and stuff to make
it
stuff
relevant
or just non-existent or something like that. Maybe.
We shall see. I too look forward to seeing what happens with the mods.
I will say that I did have the some issues with it. I know earlier on people were having issues with the launcher itself and all this stuff. I was having issues when the game booted; it would immediately kill itself, and actually turned out that it was my antivirus software that was killing it, but it wasn't like alerting me that it was killing it.
Yeah,
as soon as I disabled my antivirus software temporarily, it worked fine.
The biggest problem I've had so far is there was one point where the mouse cursor kept centering itself on my screen and I wouldn't go away. And I had someone on Twitter tell me that happened, and I fixed it by tweaking just some random setting in the graphics thing, and it just went away. So,
that's good.
But yeah. Anyways, that's all. This is probably the last I'll talk about Red Dead for a while. But I'll talk about it on Twitter a lot. I'm sorry. I'm gonna post a lot of photos. The photo mode's so good. All right. Do we have any other impressions this week? I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
All right. Let's have a little conversation about BlizzCon, because we talked about it last week, and now it has actually happened.
All right,
don't
cool.
Don't all talk at once.
I mean, I don't care about BlizzCon.
Some stuff happened.
Yeah.
They announced
Diablo 4
and Overwatch 2.
Overwatch 2.
What was the reaction to Overwatch 2, guys?
It's not a real sequel.
It's so it's weird because it's like they're releasing a game called Overwatch 2 that has like a new engine and everything. It has new content, but all of the multiplayer stuff that they're adding, so like new heroes, new maps, even like new engine, like engine tweaks or whatever, balancing is all coming to
Overwatch
1.
And anything you had in the original Overwatch carries over into Overwatch 2. So
this feels like
the main difference is that Overwatch 2 has the like PvE modes that they're adding in.
Yeah.
And there's a new multiplayer mode called Push or something like that. And I think is that coming to original Overwatch 2, or is that only going to be I think it's both. It's weird.
This feels like a
weird. It's like a big expansion that they
are selling as a separate product.
That they were like, we need to just put a 2 out there.
Maybe they retitled it to make it seem more impactful.
So the character we talked about last week, that like, wouldn't that be funny if they announced Overwatch 2 and she wasn't in it? Is she in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if they just called it Overwatch 2?
Well, there's also like, I mean, they've already been talking to people. Like I read some article where someone was interviewing Jeff Kaplan or whatever, and they're already talking about like the next 4 heroes. They've shown like silhouettes or something of the next 4 heroes, including.
This feels like Left 4 Dead 2, where it's like it's too. It just feels like more Left 4 Dead, but it now has a 2 on it, or like a more Overwatch.
Well, it is, but I mean that's what I'm saying. Like it's not even necessarily. It doesn't even necessarily have the 2. Like if you're just a multiplayer Overwatch person,
it's just more.
Don't
Overwatch.
even worry about it.
Yeah,
because you're getting all the multiplayer stuff. You know
what a weird product.
Yeah.
And then also
Diablo 4.
Diablo 4
Diablo 4
is a real ass
and
Diablo
it turned out it was not the crazy.
Not even close.
No. Well, it's not a third-person action game or like a first-person shooter or anything, but the like MMO Destiny elements are shaping up to be there.
We'll talk. I'm not, but I mean, Destiny was already like a Diablo like of sorts.
Yeah, but instead of like having individual like instance games, you just had like. You have like giant lobbies with social areas where there's like a bunch of players, and then you load out into game zones from there.
And Diablo 4 is supposedly supposed to be
So that's what's coming
online
to Diablo
required, right?
4?
Supposedly, yeah.
Okay, but I mean that's not really going to impact how you Diablo, right?
I guess.
I mean,
they're also bringing back PvP and everything, so it's like
Is there
the
was there any
gameplay trailer looked kind of Diablo-y
yeah.
with more verticality, I'd say, right?
yeah.
Like there were definitely times where they were like jumping down levels or up levels.
Yeah, you don't.
That felt very different.
I definitely remember seeing like some skills where like someone would do like a leap and fall down.
Yeah.
A couple levels.
Was there any shakeup at all to like the I don't know, like
Yes.
the visual style
It's
or the
darker.
lore or
It's
whatever?
a lot darker.
real
It's
dark.
very
It
much
looks
more of
more
a
like-
Diablo 2 vibe.
It looks like that announcement trailer. If you watch that.
I haven't.
Which
yet.
was really cool, by the way. If you haven't
Yeah.
seen it, that announcement trailer was fucking dope. Yeah, they're definitely like one of the main criticisms against Diablo 3 for a long time has been that it's like too Warcrafty. It's just like colorful and
cartoon,
cartoony
Yeah.
and like exaggerated proportions. That is all gone.
Now it's all
Like
fucked
it
up.
looks
Yeah.
grim and gritty and dark, which I mean is
Rune
cool. I
words.
just hope that it doesn't make the whole game look, brown.
Yeah.
But I mean, it looks cool. Like they've already shown some. I think in one of the articles someone said like the brightest colors you're gonna see in the game, like everything's pretty muted, and all of the bright colors that you're gonna see come from the sorcerer spells.
Yeah.
Because the sorcerer spells are all like fire, lightning, ice.
So,
Yeah.
and they showed off 3 classes, which are all returning classes: the barbarian, the sorceress, and the druid. I will say specifically, as I was a big fan of the windy druid back in Diablo 2.
Dude, that druid
But
was so
but
charming.
it so the thing about the druid before is like you could either play it as a caster class or as sort of a physical weapon based
Frontline,
class,
yeah.
which was if you went into like the lycanthropes, like the werewolf and the werebear, you were like equipping like the same type of weapon you would on like a barbarian, like a physical weapon. You had deal weapon based damage. I never played that, so I never really played those transformations. I played like the windy druid and stuff, which was a caster class. And looking at this footage, like really paying attention to it, makes me think that it's not going to work like that anymore, and that the druid's pretty much always going to be weapon based. They're still going to have spells.
Yeah, they have said that there is a magic focus for the druid because it's going to have all like storm magic and shit like that.
No, and I think the spells are going to be there, but I have a feeling it's still going to be weapon based, which again, it's not going to mean much to like a non Diablo 2 fan, I guess. But I pretty much only played caster classes in Diablo 2 because I didn't want to have to worry about like weapon damage.
Yeah.
Like if that makes any sense, because like it was a lot more expensive on the highest levels to play like a weapon based class, and I didn't want to. That's why I always played caster classes. But the point is, the reason I think they're doing it is because I think they want, like, if you played the druid that way, you never got to turn into like a werebear or like a werewolf because you'd just be terrible because you were using like magic based weapons. I think what they want to do is to make like your transformation more of like an ultimate or something where like no matter which type of druid you're playing, you're always gonna like be able to transform for like that burst damage or whatever. Like maybe you're like building up to that
as like a special ability.
So that would make sense why they're doing that to the class across the board, which I say that because even when they were showing off some of that druid magic, it still looked like he was kind of attacking with like a weapon.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, there has been some indication too that like the skill system's going to get a little more branched out than what we've seen so far because it's been really bare bones so far.
Also, keep in mind this game is, they've already confirmed this game is like a long time.
Yeah, they
Well,
they said it's going to be.
Everything's
like
a long time.
2022 at the earliest.
Well, they didn't say
that, did
I
anything.
thought I've read that somewhere.
No,
No,
they
that's
did not
Into
say
the
a date.
Spider-Verse 2.
That's
They
Spider-Verse,
said-
which is
Maybe
ridiculous.
The quote, what they said was, "It's not coming soon. It's not coming even Blizzard soon." That's all they
Ooh.
said.
What the fuck is Blizzard?
I don't
saying?
like. Yeah, when they say coming
That's fine.
soon. And
I
it's
mean,
like
when they
so
announced
3
Diablo
years.
3, it was a while before we got to play Diablo 3.
Yeah. But so there is some indication that there's going to be a bit more spread out, like diversified class trees, because that was still kind of, I don't know. I mean,
I didn't like that system in Diablo 3 where everything the builds kind of didn't really exist because everything was so like hot.
that's-
It was like swapping material on
that's
the
crazy.
fly.
That's crazy.
I mean, there was builds, but the fact
no,
that like
I
everything
really
was
don't
pretty
think,
much accessible.
I really don't think you played Diablo 3 within the last few years, because it changed a lot and built one of the biggest problems with Diablo 3 towards the end that they're like going back and addressing now, especially with loot, was that like builds became too much of a thing. Like especially set bonus builds. Like the character that you're playing, your play style is being determined entirely by like which set you complete first, because that determines
Sure.
which one of the different paths you're going to go down, and that was at the expense of other things like legendary items in the game. So like you could pick up all these legendary items that were like really cool, had these unique abilities, but none of them were like synergized together. Like there weren't sets, but the actual like armor sets had like bonuses that were crazy. Like when you had the entire set together, you had these bonuses that like the legendaries couldn't compete with, and they're trying to rein that back out a little bit. They're trying to make it a little less like set or like build.
I'm only
Building.
specifically referring to like if I wanted to have like 3 different druids that did 3 different things, I would have 3 different druids. You know, not one druid that I could make do all these different things. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, everything was because it was all about like switching your gear around, I guess. Sure.
But whatever.
But Diablo 4 looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, we
it
had
So
looks
far.
like Diablo.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it looks
far,
like Diablo.
honestly.
Maybe I'll check out that trailers because I've seen
The
a lot of-
gameplay trailer looked really cool. I mean, the classes look really cool. The visual style looks really cool. And, like, from a lore perspective, it seems really neat, too. Because the big bad is going to be Lilith, who is, like, the demon that created the world. And in the trailer, there's a character who's, like, summoning Lilith. And for anyone who's, like, familiar with Diablo lore, one of the theories floating around now is that if that character is somebody that exists in the lore, it's probably Rathma, which is, like, a big like old like beginning of the world kind of character. He's referenced a lot in like the necromancer stuff. He was like one of the disciples of Lilith. It's
But
cool
it's a
stuff.
big deal.
It's I guess yeah. It seems like a big deal.
I was actually about to watch that trailer, and then I read something about it being online only, and like you had to be connected to the internet or it's not going to work. And I was instantly kind of like, oh, I don't know. I kind of
the year of our Lord.
I know it just that always kind of puts me off. Anyways, we'll revisit in 10 years when that game comes out.
It's not gonna be that.
I know I'm being
They-
hyperbolic.
They showed the game. I mean, they're showing like this is what loot's like. Here's a rune word. You know, it's.
I was being hyperbolic.
Yeah.
All right, let's answer some questions from our supporters on Patreon. Nolan, are you ready?
No, because we have one new patron we need to mention.
Cool. Let's thank that person.
Ooh. How close are we to our next goal?
We're at. Oh no, we lost a few.
Oh.
It happens.
No, we're
Project M canceled.
Nah, Project M not canceled, but we still got 25 more people to go.
One new patron, Mixelplix.
Like Mr. Mixelplex.
I guess so.
Yeah, that's close enough.
MIXLPLIX.
Regardless of how you pronounce your name, thank you very much for the support.
Mixelpix.
If you want to support, if you're interested,
It's a
we
Superman character.
I know you're referring to the guy you say his name. If you get him to say his name, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of his things. He's like a little,
He's
a little elf
elf
dude
guy,
who
yeah,
like
he's
floats
magic.
around and he can just like rearrange
do
reality.
anything. Yeah, he can do anything.
Interesting.
Turn strong.
We are working towards our next goal of 175 patrons, and we're working towards our next flashback event. See what I did there? Our next flashback event.
4-player flashback.
4-player flashback month, where we spend an entire month playing games from a
What do you think,
particular
2001?
year.
2001.
Flashpoint
Could be 2001.
That's like an all-time great year.
If you are interested in supporting us and helping us
Halo
reach that
Combat
goal.
Evolved.
Yeah, it's true. That is true. You can support us at any tier. $1, $3, $5, $10. Doesn't matter. You're going to help us get towards that goal.
$1,000.
175 patrons. We still need about
$1,000.
25 more people, but if you're interested in supporting us, patreon.com/4player is where it's at. We also let you guys ask us questions every week, which we're going to answer now.
Like some of these. First question this week from Thorax. Was there any time where you bought an item at full price only for it to be discounted shortly after?
Oh, yes.
I only asked this because the Godzilla Criterion Collection was 50% off just a week after release.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Chris Davis is not very happy about that.
Every time I pay full price for something. Like
No, hold on.
What's the
Amazon's
savings on
really
that?
Amazon's really good about this. Hold on, look at this.
Yeah, they actually
Let me-
discount you.
Let me look at this email I got from Amazon. Hold on.
I got a
the other
penny
day,
refunded last
The other
week.
day, it says refund on order. We're writing to let you know we processed your refund for Luigi's Mansion 3 on the Nintendo Switch. 4 cents.
Wow. I literally got that same email for something. I think it was for Call of Duty. It was like 1 cent.
Hey, Chris Davis, what are the savings? What would have been the savings on that Godzilla collection? I don't know how much it was.
It retailed at like $170, $180.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would have saved like $50, $60.
Oh,
Wait, so what did you end up? What did you pay for it?
Like
You don't have to.
170, 180, something like that.
And it,
And it comes with Godzilla?
No, you could have got a 50%. Literally, you would have saved
I
$90.
could have got it half off.
Yeah, half off.
Ooh, God, that sucks.
Yeah.
That super sucks.
It happens all the time. It's one of those things where it's always it's a cost benefit, literal cost risk analysis of if I wait for anything, and this isn't just anything I buy, it's eventually going to be cheaper.
Yeah.
Is it worth it for me to wait until it might be cheaper, or just fork over the extra cash?
Well, here's the question: how much Godzilla did you watch in that week?
I haven't opened it yet.
Okay. Was it worth it? Was it worth it?
Was it worth it?
I mean,
It came in the mail 3 days ago.
I mean, I will say this: if it, especially when it comes to video games, because there's always the conversation of, are you going to really pay full price for a game, or are you going to wait and just a couple months and
Because it will go down.
and it will go down in price? But like the question, it's really just a matter of is that time spent now playing the game worth the extra money you're going to pay
worth
for
the
it?
$20 you might end up saving.
I
Yeah,
buy a lot of games brand new on day one because to me I find that to be worth the money, just personally, even though in some cases it's probably a mistake.
For me, it's generally not video games. It's other things that
Yeah.
I end up buying that end up going on sale, be it some sort of electronic
Mhm.
device or like I'm trying to think.
There
of
was
things.
that one time very recently where I bought a game full price, and this is not the same situation, but it's similar. I bought a game full price and then found out I had a code for it in my email from the developer.
No.
Not the same, but still frustrating.
Well,
saying.
anyway, let's move on to our next question from Zero Skies. What is the best costume you saw on someone this Halloween?
Oh man, I saw like almost no costumes this year because I stayed indoors. We watched a movie. And I didn't say. I saw a couple trick or treaters on my way home from work, and that was about it.
So most of the costumes I saw were actually at work. A lot of coworkers dressed up. We do have like a costume contest at work and stuff like that. So a lot of people do dress up. And I saw some pretty good ones. I saw some coworkers who were just who did like I almost a couple cosplay, but I mean they're just coworkers. And so two of my coworkers dressed up as Wayne and Garth.
Nice.
I had one. I can't. What is Uma Thurman's character from Pulp Fiction? Mia?
Sounds right. Crispy maybe knows.
Yeah, Mia Wallace.
Mia Wallace. Yeah. So I had a coworker that dressed up as Mia Wallace. At the end of the movie, so disheveled and wearing like the shirt and with like the blood on her face and shit. A little bit of heroin. What else did I see?
So
There was like an anime character or something, and I thought it was pretty.
Do costumes you see on Reddit count?
No.
No.
Damn it!
Internet does not count.
There's always some gems on the internet.
So I went to Henry's on Halloween. I was off, so I went to his daycare or his preschool was doing a Halloween parade where you put your kid in costume and then they would walking in line,
Sure.
line basically, or stand up.
What? Just walking a line.
And each class was like standing up on the stage so you could take pictures and stuff. And all these classes, everyone was wearing like kind of the costumes you get from like they're like little kids. So it's like for example, Henry was Buzz Lightyear, the shit we just bought from Target or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people wear those kinds of costumes, but one kid had like the classic like robot costume made out of boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I was like all these other like lame ass kids and that one badass robot. It's like classic, old school, and it was impressive.
Nice.
So bravo for that kid.
To that kid's parents?
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
probably the kid's parents.
for the kid dealing with that big awkward
I
like
guess
robot thing too.
I saw a kid dressed as an Ewok, and his candy bucket was a stormtrooper helmet.
Ah,
Nice.
nice. I like
Nice.
it. I like it.
This is not really the same thing, but in our neighborhood,
Good Ewok costume.
there's a lot of interesting I saw more interesting like decorations and
Sure.
stuff than actual costumes. But like someone, they had I think this year I would call it a trend. I saw a lot of houses that had like skeletons in their front yard doing things. but there was one house
Where
they
were they
would
boning?
no, but they would change what they were doing every day.
Ah,
So every day
nice.
you drove by it, it was something new. But like one day they were like tossing. It was like two skeletons like tossing a body wrapped in like a body bag into like a hole they actually dug in their front yard.
Wow.
And then like the next day you drove by, it was just like they were like sitting in a chair holding like glasses of
that seems
lemonade
like
or
cool
something.
shit.
And they just changed it up every single day. Like they'd probably go out at night and do it. And like the next day it was just like what?
One house in my neighborhood, I don't know. Somebody else said maybe they saw one like this, but had skeletons like climbing the house, and one of them was like breaking in and like had a knife in his mouth, as he was like climbing up the wall of the house
horrifying.
and stuff. It looked fucking cool. I will say the funniest moment when I was trick or treating with Henry is there's a lot of kids in our neighborhood. It's like it was big for trick or treating, so it was like traffic jam. So we were sometimes going up to houses like with other people, but that happens when you're trick or treating.
Waiting at the curb for
and I was awkwardly trying to get Henry up to the front door, and the guy was already there giving this other kid who looked like he was probably 9, and it was real dark. I could barely see what he was dressed as, but the guy was like, "Oh, look, it's Spider-Man," and the kid was like, "Actually, I'm Deadpool," and he's like Spider-Pool or what? I forget the interaction, but it was funny. He's like, no, it's Deadpool. But the kid seemed so like bored and sad, like he'd been getting that all night. No one knew that he was Deadpool, and then he just sadly walked off.
Oh,
I was laughing my ass off. It was so funny.
That sucks. All right,
I'm just picturing this kid moping away and Brad just like laughing
Well,
like
first
But that's
of all-
like so appropriate for the costume.
well, it is. But first of
Not
all, why does this
Deadpool.
9-year-old know so much about Deadpool?
Well,
Deadpool's not exactly appropriate.
He's
for a
like he was
9-year-old.
carrying chimichangas and everything.
Yeah. All right. Next question from Ash.
Catch him.
What's a game you'd like to see adapted into a television series? With The Witcher going ahead, I'd like to see the story of Dragon Age be adapted.
That would actually probably make it pretty good.
Yeah.
I think like good like fantasy stuff lends itself pretty
Anything
well.
kind of fantasy or some sci-fi maybe.
I think
There's some-
Mass Effect 2 was
I was
like,
gonna say like a Mass
very
Effect.
much. I mean, even more than the other Mass Effects. 2 was very much like almost written like a season of television.
Yeah, for sure.
It was weird.
Yeah, and I feel that'd be a pretty solid TV show. I'm trying to think what else.
like a Neo.
Well, they're already making a live action Halo show.
They've
Tack.
done.
No, they said they wanted a good show. Tack.
I knew there's
A good show.
I knew you were gonna say that fucking Nolan.
I played this one game on PS2 called
That was not the question, Brett.
The Sopranos.
God damn it, Brett.
What was
Go
that
fuck
game
yourself.
called?
It was called
Road to-
Simpsons Road Rage.
You know,
No, it's a real game I have.
after seeing like last year, because I would say like horror is the kind of thing I don't see adapted into like I don't see a lot of really well made horror TV shows. And then like last year when we watched Haunting of Hill House, I was like, that's really fucking cool.
You don't
like,
watch Channel Zero, do you?
I don't
is
have
that?
access to it. I want to. I've heard really good things about
You've
it.
got the internet, don't you?
Yeah, you should have done the free week of Shudder during Halloween month.
I probably should have, but like I'm thinking of like how cool it would be to see like something like Silent Hill adapted into a full length TV show where it's more like psychological, like
Shattered Memories.
shattered memories. I mean, like take any one of the Silent Hills as like inspiration for a TV show, and I feel like that'd be pretty fucking cool.
There's a Shudder exclusive. I guess it's Shudder exclusive right now called One Cut of the Dead.
Uh-huh.
I recommend using your Shudder free trial to watch that movie.
All right. Also, I agree with Lightning Lord in chat. Red Dead also would make a pretty cool TV
The
show.
Sopranos Road to Respect.
Road to respect.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
They should turn that into a TV show.
All right, let's move on. Next question from Fuzzy Turd. Fuzzy. This is a complicated question. You were tasked with making a new game in a franchise of your choice. Must be pre-existing. It can be a reboot or a sequel, prequel. What visual style do you go for? Combat style, if applicable. You must add a new central mechanic that you feel would fit it. And
Ooh.
what is it and why?
Holy
Fuzzy,
hell.
this is such a hard question
Holy
to ask.
hell. Especially since we're not
no,
developers.
No, I got it. Batman Arkham series.
Uh-huh.
I don't care if it's a prequel or sequel or whatever. Visual style, less of the like super gritty realism, maybe something a little bit more comic booky, like a
Silver Age.
like a Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and the mechanic that I would add to it would be the Nemesis system from the Shadows of Mordor games.
Yeah. That could be cool.
Boom.
That could be
That's
really-
it.
But with Batman villains, obviously.
But with like henchmen, yeah, like
And every time you encounter the henchman, he's all deformed and he has like other
he's got like a
henchmen's
batarang
face.
sticking out of his forehead or something. Like,
He's by the end of the game, he's basically Frankenstein.
That's a good answer. That's a solid fucking answer.
Batman Beyond, just say that.
Yeah. I mean, everyone does want Batman. Yeah.
I don't even think they remember a world before Batman.
That's true, maybe. That's a good question. Like I said,
I'll
it's
keep thinking.
hard.
If something pops into my head while we're still recording, I'll bring it up. But
I
I feel
missed
like,
the question.
Of course you did.
oh my god, Brad, you're the worst.
Well, I didn't think it was going to be so complex. I kind of jumped in the back half and I was like, wait, what?
At least
All
you're
right,
honest.
well, let's
At
move
least-
on.
at
It
least
is a
you're
very
honest.
complex question, Fuzzy.
I was looking at my...
And I don't want to like just be like blur and just move on.
Plus,
Yeah.
I already gave you the perfect
yeah,
answer.
Chrissy did give a good answer.
I would say
Perfect.
Batman as well.
Shut up, Brad. Brad says a doctor.
Batman, but like in a like Darwin Cook style, like Brave and the Bold, like bright, flashy, fun. Not
How about this?
depressing.
I would
How
choose
about-
Final Fantasy Tactics.
How about Mirror's Edge? A new Mirror's Edge game.
So,
Maybe fuck you. Maybe less. Again, scale it back
less
from like
of the parkour and
No.
more of
fuck you. Keep the parkour. I'm talking like, you know, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, great fucking game by the way, very underrated. But like they went for a very high end, like super clean, realistic visual style. Maybe go with something more stylized, not like the Esurance or whatever the
Insurance.
Esurance
Yeah.
commercials or whatever from the first game, but like something a little more stylized, but like keep it first person parkour, same kind of like visual style, but like the actual art direction is something more stylized. I wish I had a more specific answer to give you, but I feel like that world is really beautiful and really cool, but like there are probably more interesting ways to depict it or visualize it than just going with like super realism.
I got you. All right, let's move on. Next question from Live at the Milky Way. Bed, wed, behead.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Gary Oldman, Sean Bean, Willem Dafoe.
Why?
Oh my god.
Oh,
Whoa,
hold on.
okay.
I mean, do you have to kill Sean
Let's
Bean
not
by
talk
default?
about that on the podcast. Talk about it afterwards.
Okay. The Lighthouse.
Yes.
Oh.
That was good. It was good.
Wait, is Gary Oldman in the Lighthouse?
No,
No.
but you said Willem Dafoe, so we
Oh
also
yeah, Willem Dafoe.
we
was
started
in the
thinking
Lighthouse.
instantly about the lighthouse. Okay, bed when we had so. Oh my god, I feel like it'd be really.
Who's the first dude?
Gary Oldman?
Gary Oldman.
I would marry Gary.
I would
Oldman.
definitely marry Gary Oldman.
I feel like Willem Dafoe would be really weird to be.
To fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like,
Wait, hold on. What if
But,
it's?
like,
hold on.
you've
What if
got
it's?
to. Like,
hold
not in a
on.
good
Hold
way.
on. What
You've
if
got
it's?
to.
Hold on. It's Willem Dafoe, right?
Yeah,
From Boondock Saints, dressed up. Do you remember in Boondock
No.
well,
Saints?
of course I do.
No. Willem Dafoe from The Lighthouse.
Yeah, I'm about to say the
With
only
the
reason.
beard and the crazy accent and
The
the,
only-
clubfoot.
The only reason I'm like unable to say like maybe I'd fuck Willem Dafoe is because I'm like I'm the most recent image in my mind is from The Lighthouse.
Now,
And
hold
if you
on.
see The Lighthouse, woo!
If we're talking about their roles,
And you have to stare him in the eyes while you do it.
yeah, definitely not fucking.
Dude,
Willem
I don't
Dafoe,
think
then.
you could avoid that.
If we're talking about like roles, I would potentially marry Klaus from Life Aquatic.
Yeah.
I think Klaus would make a great
That'd be
husband.
cool. Or,
By the way, that's Kato breathing into the mic, not one of us.
No, it's definitely me.
As usual, I'd fuck all of them.
Yep.
That's just your way of
I
cheating.
kind of
Brad.
like. Part of me kind of wants to marry Sean Bean though,
Sean Bean's
because
a good
I
guy.
bet snuggling up to Sean Bean on like a cold winter night.
But isn't the rule?
and he's got that like Irish brogue.
Wouldn't he betray you though at some point?
Sean Bean?
Sean Bean,
He's so
the actor.
loyal. He's so loyal.
Hey, I thought we were making judgments based on the characters they play. Aren't
I'm not.
Okay.
you? Just said you just compared Willem Dafoe to the Lighthouse. Why
Well, I
would
said
not?
if he looked like he did in the White House, not
The White House.
I said Lighthouse.
You said White
Eddard
House.
Stark's gonna betray you? Okay.
Good point. Good point. I don't know why I was I was like thinking of
Because you're thinking
Goldeneye for some reason.
Goldeneye.
Because you're a Bond.
And Lord of the Rings.
Or
Come on.
That's true.
National Treasure.
I mean, he betrayed and then turned and then
he's a
changed
bad guy
his-
in
he paid
National
for it.
Treasure.
You're right.
He betrayed them by wanting the ring. He didn't actually cause any real fucking harm. He saved
The
their lives.
the ring did that.
Yeah. Jeez, he's a fucking hero.
All right, let's move on. Next question
Oh,
from
did we answer that?
Dillosaurus.
Yeah, kind of.
Enough. When was a time you felt like a dick in a video game or real life? There's a quest in Dragon's Dogma where a guy asked for a magic tome, but I kept the tome for myself and gave him a fake. He later shows up in a boss fight to help me, but since the tome I gave him was a fake, it didn't work and he died in battle.
Nice.
Felt pretty bad after that one.
Yeah,
Wow.
that'll happen.
Uh,
Oh, maybe it's that time I nuked a whole fucking town in
yeah.
Fallout.
I mean, I wrestled with that decision for a while, but I ended up going with it.
You guys are horrible.
That is a good example, though, of a time I probably felt like shit.
A lot of things from like Mass Effect 2 and 3
Yeah, that's
where
a good one.
like the Renegade Paragon shit, just like the tones were like way fucked up. Like the reporter. Like you kind of want to be like snarky to the reporter, and Shepard's just like fuck you, and
And
like
he
takes a
punches her in
swing
the
at her,
face,
like
yeah.
you're
No,
just
I
like
did-
come on.
I said nothing about swinging at her.
Oh, I always feel like I always felt like a dick when I was interrogating someone in L.A. Noir.
Oh, yes.
You like fucking little boys.
You like fuck boys, Valdez.
That is
It's like, where did that come
because
from?
when
The
you're not sure about like one thing they said, so you're like, I accuse you of lying. You're like, you killed him.
That's pretty good.
Just
I
I'm
mean,
like,
that's
well,
just good
It
police
did go
work.
pretty extreme, yeah.
Oh my god, I had an answer on the tip of my tongue, and then someone pushed it out.
I mean, that's a good his response or his question. It's a good one. Where giving someone something that kind of fucks them over later, like tricking them essentially for your own good. I mean, I do shit like that in Outer Worlds. Like a lot of the time, like someone's like, "Hey, go get this for me," and you go and get it, and they're like, "Hey, did you get it?" And you're like, "Lie, didn't get it," and they're like, "Oh, dang," and then I go sell it to someone.
Two answers. One's kind of an obvious one. Actually, they're both kind of an obvious one, I guess. And this is not necessarily feeling like a dick. I don't know if this is the best way to describe it, but like, even though I didn't pull the trigger in that fucking mission in Modern Warfare 2, you know the one, no Russian, like that made me feel real dirty and real gross.
Because you are.
And then the other one is there's been plenty of moments playing Red Dead 1 and 2
So
when I've like made split second decisions to kill someone, and then I'm instantly like, I didn't want to.
They probably deserved it. So what I was actually going to bring up Red Dead 1, and it was when I got the Manifest Destiny achievement.
For killing.
for the killing the buffalo,
the last buffalo.
Yes, yes, I felt like I was doing that when my last time I replayed that, and I was like, Robin was walking, she's like, "Why are you killing all the buffalo?" And I was like, "I'm going for the achievement." And she's like, "What?" And she was like, "You're such a dick."
Yeah. Killing the last
That's
one.
That's a good answer.
Yep.
That's a good
I felt
one.
like an asshole for doing it, but got that Chivo. All right, let's move on. Next question from Browna.
Browna's in chat. There's
Hey,
Browna.
What's
Hello.
up, Browna? Browna, why'd you ask such a long question? All right, here we go.
Throwing us for a loop.
What do you think makes a game replayable? I'm not talking about games that require a lot of hours to beat or a shit ton of content experience like Red Dead 2 or Fallout. Or games
you!
Or games that require a lot of time invested to get to the meat and potatoes of the game, like MMOs or even Minecraft.
Or Death Stranding.
I'm talking about games that are more simple and tightly knitted with more concentrated experience, yet have high replayability. Examples are Age of Empires 2, Metal Gear Solid series, Doom, fighting games like Ninja Gaiden, Mario games. These are relatively simple games that don't take much to get right to the action. What do you think makes these types of games the most replayable? My opinion is the ability to experiment with the mechanics, but I was wondering what it is for you guys. Thanks.
Well, first of all, I think replayability is a very subjective thing because all those games that you just named are games that I probably would never entertain the notion of replaying again.
You'd never replay a
But
Mario
that's just
game?
But that's just because of the way I mean, I very rarely replay Mario games if I ever do.
This is.
Well, so like,
I'm not trying to blow off the question here. This is a legitimate answer.
damn.
Sincere answer. I think the thing that makes a game replayable is when you finish it and you want more.
Yeah,
Like,
Sure.
like something about it. And for me, that's not necessarily always mechanics. I played a lot of games that have really cool mechanics that
One
you
and done
can
is
you
fine.
you can pour as many hours into it as you want and find all the nooks and crannies, and that's great. But I have no desire to go back and play it. And then there are other games that are just like, small story driven experiences where it's like there's something about it that got under my skin, and I really want to experience the vibe of it, like the mood of it again.
If I had to kind of like a pin to what you just said, Crispy, I think that very well sums it up. But I think it's also just on a more general note, like when you play a game and you finish it and you're done, and then you find yourself still thinking about it, when you feel like I miss inhabiting
if
that
the
world.
credits don't just like put a cap on it and you put it away,
Yeah.
like if it's something that you're just like, I mean, Last of Us is like that.
Yeah.
Like I think
So
Last of Us is mechanically
that's-
a really fun game, but that's not why I play
That's
it.
what I was going to
Yeah.
bring up. For me, a lot of the games I do enjoy replaying are those heavily story-driven
Yeah.
games, like The Last of Us, or the Uncharted series, where the action and the stuff, while they are prominent in my mind, take a back seat to what I enjoy about it, and that's why I enjoy replaying them, is because I get to see those scenes over again.
Games make me feel a certain way. If a game makes me feel a certain way, that I want
Well,
to
we
experience.
have YouTube now, though.
I know, but
I feel like
it's not
back in the day I
it's
would
not
do
the
that,
fucking same.
but these days
like
I maybe like just catch a scene.
Although sometimes that it. Like,
well, sometimes I'll
I've
do
done
that.
that.
I'll definitely
Sometimes
rewatch
it'll
stuff.
scratch that itch. But like a game like Metal Gear Solid, it's because you have all these gadgets and tools and weapons and stuff.
There's
and
also different ways to
may
approach a scenario.
Yeah, exactly. When the game, or like Deus Ex or something, where there's so many different ways to kind of approach the game and
Sure.
the systems in the game, that replaying it is like literally I could play a completely different character. A lot of RPGs are like that.
And that's
like
why I
Final
say-
Fantasy Tactics, I could play all these different classes I never even really dabbled in.
and that's why I say it's more about just like if it's over,
Yeah,
but you're
if-
not done with
if
it.
you're not done.
Because it's like, yeah.
Well,
It could be.
All right, well, let's move on. We got one more question from patrons. From Don Dolan. What do you think is the future for The Simpsons? Will it ever get canceled or just go on forever?
No.
After the inviolable heat death of the universe...
Invariable.
No, and that's not what the word is. I think
you
that's
got the
maybe
word
what I meant.
wrong.
Can we be assured there will be more Simpsons episodes?
No.
What would be satisfactory ending for the series, in your opinion? So, hold on. Real question. Does anybody here still watch
I think
The
he was going for
Simpsons?
inevitable.
Probably inevitable, but that's still not close to what the word is. Let me look up this word.
That would make sense.
So I can't really answer this question as someone who watches The Simpsons because I can't even remember the last time I watched an episode of The Simpsons.
I mean, it's gotta be.
Inviolable, arousing, or likely to arouse envy. Enviable. I'm sorry, that's my bad for reading it incorrectly.
Enviable heat.
I guess I've never
He was going for inevitable.
I
That's
know-
the type of
I've
it.
never seen enviable. I guess it makes sense. I've never seen it used in that.
Yeah, but that's not.
I think that was an autocorrect.
I
That's
think-
not what he meant to say.
Simpsons.
Maybe he does envy the heat death of
Damn.
the envy universe.
I never answered the Hobbs and Shaw question. I don't know if she chose to watch it or not.
Or she's still waiting, staring at her phone, doing
She's probably
nothing.
really pissed at me.
That'd be a real shame
Um,
if you never saw Hobbs and Shaw.
Hey, I've been wanting to watch that. I just need
That's
some time
fine.
to sit down. So
The Simpsons.
I have
Rub it
not.
in.
I probably have not watched The Simpsons in a good 8-9 years.
I'm still amazed it's still going, to be
Dude,
honest.
obviously, it's going to end at some point.
Yeah, it has to. I know it's it is the longest running series. Right
Is it
now,
going to
isn't
be? Well, it's like longest running.
like?
No, there's a couple qualifiers.
I'm going to
but
be
yeah.
honest. I thought
it's
yeah.
it's up there.
there was a time, and I know it's still running now, but I forgot when it was. It was like 5 or 10 years ago or something. I thought there was serious talk about it ending, like it was done.
There was serious talk about it ending when the movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
I
that's what I'm
hated
thinking
that
of.
movie. Well, I was so surprised by how much people love that movie. I hated it. I probably haven't watched The Simpsons in almost 20 years.
I've watched.
I feel like we're disappointing this person because I feel like it was probably asked because this person is a huge fan of The Simpsons.
I don't
and
even
none
think
of us
it
seem to be.
matters.
So, according to
We
Wikipedia,
already have steamed
the
hams.
longest running scripted primetime television series in the United States
scripted prime time
is The Simpsons with 31 seasons.
31
The
seasons.
second is Law and Order with 21 seasons.
Isn't South Park closing in on that?
South Park's at 22 or something like that. But I think it's not. I don't know why it's.
But
it might-
Always Sunny has one too. It's like longest live action.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, maybe it's because
Scripted
it's
or
not a
something.
television script. I don't know. Simpsons isn't. I mean, South Park isn't even on this list.
It also mentions prime time, which is
Yeah, because it's not a prime
a
time.
lot of
show.
caveats
Yeah.
there.
That's a Sunday show.
You're a Sunday show.
We're all Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, is the end of The Simpsons going to be disappointing? I mean, probably, right? I mean, the show's been pretty disappointing for a decade now.
Oh,
And I mean, honestly, like, come on, like even if it was decent, like, come on, like the peak of the series was so good. The peak of the series was so good. I'll be watching steamed hams until I'm fucking 89 years old.
The only thing I can ever, the only thing I ever remember from The Simpsons that I remember like fondly, and is the episode with the when pigs fly. Is that
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Yeah, that was
when
the
pigs
barbecue.
fly? And you just see the pig
It's a
go
little
across.
airborne. It's still good. It's still good.
Yeah, that was a fantastic episode.
So yeah. So hold on. No one's going to argue that The Simpsons at some point was probably not one of the best like series. The show's hilarious. There are classic fucking episodes that anybody can quote. If you ask anybody, for the most part, I don't want to say that. Obviously, there are people who've never seen The Simpsons.
Ask me to quote it, no one.
Just quote something from The Simpsons. You probably can.
When pigs fly.
Go banana. There
Oh
are
yes, go apple, go orange, go banana.
there are
Love it.
dozens and dozens of seasons of that show that are fucking quality.
Love it.
And I guarantee you, I can pull up a random episode of The Simpsons that will be top-notch comedy. Are there bad episodes? Fuck yeah. There's episodes that
There
are
are.
horrible.
I think it's fairly. I feel like I can say with confidence that there are probably more bad episodes now than there are good.
Probably. And I think
Like,
and I think
like that's
well no,
that's an understatement, like a dramatic understatement.
I think it got to the scenario where like the South Park episodes, Simpsons did it. Because at this point the Simpsons have basically fucking done everything. Because they've been running for so long.
Yeah, it's been so many completely different shows.
And yeah, and that's the thing is what the show even is has changed so many times. So I mean, yeah, I honestly I think it should have ended years ago, just because it's I prefer when a show ends in its prime.
We're
kind
supposed
of.
to save this question for our Simpsons podcast.
Oh
Yeah.
shit! One of the episodes I love, the tobacco episode.
That was pretty good.
I loved that episode.
I don't recall that one.
Homer gets like a farm. And they start growing. They mix a bunch of the seeds in the ground because Homer and they grow a hybrid tomato tobacco. So you eat it like a tomato, but it has like the addictive qualities of nicotine, of like tobacco, and like
Because science.
yeah. And apparently it tastes like grandma, according to Ralph. Anyway, Stonecutters is great. Yeah, there's
No, I didn't want to say that because this is you can't.
yeah.
talk
We'll
about
go
this.
down a trail of all
We've
the
already
fucking
talked about this.
way too
King
long.
of the Hill's better.
Oh, definitely. And you
Next
know what? Hold on. You
question.
know what? King of the Hill didn't overstay its welcome.
Wait. King of the Hill at its best is better than Simpsons at its best?
Yes.
Next question.
I don't know.
That's the last question from Patreon.
I don't know about that.
So let's get some
I love
questions
King of
from
the
our
Hill, but I
supporters
don't know
on
about
Twitch.
All right, let's do this. Oh god, I'm more. I think I saw some complicated ones there. I hope. Well,
Always.
Let's just see.
Always. Alrighty. First question this week from Ultima Inferno. You have the option to tattoo something on one of your fellow catchmates. Who would it be, and what would the tattoo be of?
No, I've watched way too many of those, like YouTube, like whatever that MTV show is, where they
oh my god,
where like friends tattoo shit on it.
oh my god, it's so tragic.
I'm not playing this game.
Y'all gotta watch
It's
that show.
fucking-
Y'all gotta watch.
There's
that
like
show.
some real scores.
It's so
that, like,
tragic. Every like episode ends with like friends just like crying. They're like, why would you do that? Why would you
Relationships
put
break.
this
What the
on
fuck
me?
are y'all talking about?
There's
That
a
show we've
show
talked
on
about.
MTV where like couples, either friends or like romantic couples. They'll go and they each design a tattoo that the other one has to get. They tattoo it on the person's body, and then that person doesn't see it till the end of the episode when they do like the reveal, and it's always
because
fucking horrible.
The relationship, they're bringing people that are like kind of harboring
like having problems
or hatred or having problems.
Is it like a tattoo where they use like tattoo like a cat, but your belly button is the cat's butthole?
I mean, it's way worse than that.
It's so some of the stuff is so bad.
This one lady got a tattoo or put a tattoo on like her ex-boyfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and the tattoo was literally like a picture of her squatting over taking like a nasty shit, and they showed the whole thing, and the dude's looking at it and he's kind of like, it's actually kind of cool. I like that. And she was so pissed that he liked
most
it.
don't end
like,
that way.
Some
most
of them are
tears.
And like people go for the fucking throat on these. Like they get big ones and they put them in like really obvious places. Like ex-girlfriends like putting tattoos like in this area on their boyfriends that are like, I have fucking chlamydia and like shit like that. Like it's fucking terrible.
Like horrible like tramp stamps and stuff.
Yeah. It's so trash.
So do the people have to draw it themselves, or they at least get a tattoo artist?
No, a tattoo artist.
They tell an artist what they want, and it's like,
and the other person doesn't know what they're getting put on them.
I know, that's fascinating, but I would never watch this. All right,
that's fucking terrible.
Maybe
I would make I would make Nick get a tattoo of a blood slide.
You know what? I'd take it.
Yeah, nobody is that.
Thank you.
That congenial on that.
Thank
show.
you, Nolan. That's
welcome.
That's sweet
yeah,
of
that's
you.
not how that show works.
I would make Crispy get the Batman logo.
You know, I don't think I want that.
Too bad, you get it, and it goes on your butthole.
Yes,
I would give Brad a Spyro the Dragon tattoo,
and his belly button is Spyro's asshole.
No, I would tattoo Spyro the Dragon standing right here, but looking back, and his tail
is Brad's dick.
Can that means you have to get your whole dick tattooed purple.
What is that show
and
called?
The tip is a mushroom.
Yeah.
It's like something, or it's a tattoo pun.
How far is tattoo far?
Yeah, how far is
That's
tattoo?
a really bad name.
Jesus
for a
Christ,
show,
that's
but
horrible.
Oh my!
All right, let's move on. Next
Snooki,
question.
Snooki from Jersey Shore is one of the presenters.
Nice. Next question from Scud. Thoughts on Diablo 4, Overwatch 2, and Blizzcon? Well, okay, we already went over that.
Already
Great.
covered that
Diablo
one.
4.
Good job, Scud. All right, Lau. Question.
Flesh lady.
Lau Kung Pao. Lau, this is your first question? Okay. It says, so hi guys, hopefully it's a fun two-parter.
No.
Nolan, make sure to do part 1 and 2 separately. No, I'm doing it at the same time. Fuck you, Lau. 1. What are your guys' top 3 video game waifus of all time? No limiting conditions, just top 3.
I don't fucking
Ooh.
Jesus Christ. I don't
Okay.
know.
Next, number 1 is Dagger.
I was going to say Dagger, you son of a bitch. Dagger from Final Fantasy IX would definitely be up there.
Of course.
I want to know what part 2 is before I answer.
Oh my god.
Is Kirby a girl?
I would go with Claire Redfield from Resident Evil 2. And
Gooigi.
first of all, you can't do that. Like,
Why
first
not?
of all, I'm pretty sure Brad's not even
You could
thinking
fuck
about this yet.
Gooigi.
I'm pretty sure Brad didn't hear the question.
I didn't.
Top 3 video game waifus.
Oh.
Brad has some good answers. I know it. Haiti.
She has no face.
That doesn't matter,
Oh
Nick.
man, I don't
She
even
has
know
everything that
anymore.
counts.
That actually helps.
I could tell you like what they were back in the day, but like, man, what are my current?
Ooh, Morgan from Dragon Age. That's good.
Ooh, that reminds me.
I can't even.
Miranda
answer
from
this.
Mass Effect 2.
Morgan from Dragon Age is really good. That's a good one.
Yeah, those are my 3.
My goth girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Wraith from Apex Legends. That's a good one.
Okay.
What?
Sure.
Yeah,
Totes.
Is she enough of a character to be a waifu?
totally.
I mean,
You know what?
She
You know
has everything that
I'm gonna retract one of them. I'm gonna retract. I'm gonna retract Miranda from Mass Effect 2 and replace it with Sadie Adler from Red Dead Redemption 2.
I knew you were gonna do that. I don't know
Dude,
how I
Sadie-
knew, but I knew you were gonna
Sadie
do that.
Adler is such a good fucking
You're
character.
so into Sadie.
Dude, everyone's into Sadie, man.
What's the next part? Of that
Nick
question?
literally wants to be into Sadie.
My waifus, man. I don't know. It used to be Cosmos and like
Liara.
all kind.
Liara.
you
That's a good
know.
one. There we go.
I liked Lady.
Ooh, Lady's a good one.
Ooh, Yennefer.
But she was
But
tragically underused.
But
so.
it's different now. I mean, I don't know. Julia Chang was always there.
Part 2, Nolan. Part 2.
All right, part 2. Fuck, marry, kill the waifu list.
Oh. This is too long.
This is a good way to set it up, though.
Yeah, it says Nick has to kill Brad's.
Oh.
Brad has to kill mine.
I would marry.
I guess that's why we had to do it, but we
had
didn't
to
all come up with
actually
them.
do it.
Wow, we didn't do your question right.
This is
Damn it! That's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good setup for a fuck, marry, kill.
That's really hard though, because
But we just did.
Well, the point would be you have to choose Brad's for him. Would be the point.
maybe we could do part 2 next week or something. We've been sitting here for a while trying to figure this
Maybe
out.
we'll just answer this question.
All right, homework. Everyone, come back next week.
Just come up with your waifus.
Your waifu list.
All right, cool.
Good
cool.
waifu list.
Homework.
All right. Turk. Who's
Turk.
this?
What?
Turknology? Is that
Tack.
technology?
Yeah, I think it's Tack.
Hey, everyone has different Twitch names and
Discord.
Discord names, and throws me off. Nick, what's the coolest lore that you know very little about?
I think he's asking everyone, not just me.
But then he added you because Nick, you always tell people to at you for some reason.
Yeah, because that's how we find the questions easier.
No, we don't. I just fucking look in here.
No, you bastard. All right.
What's the coolest lore you know very little about?
The
Wait,
Watchmen.
The coolest lore that you know very little about?
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be really hard because I feel
Yeah,
like
then why is it cool if you know so little
Like you just
about
know
it?
enough to know.
Yeah,
there's a
you
shit
know
ton of
enough to
stuff.
know that it's cool, but it's like one of those things, I've always meant to look into how plumbuses were made.
I mean, I need to play a lot more Disco Elysium, but it's pretty cool so far.
I don't know if I have a good answer for this. I feel like
I heard that there is. I don't even want to spoil. There is a whole thing in Disco Elysium in terms of its lore that you really don't even find out about unless you have invested in certain stats.
Ooh, I've got a good one. I think Star Trek.
Yeah.
I know it's cool. I know I'd probably like it if I got into it.
I could
but
help you with that. Nick.
I know.
Where do you want to start?
I don't even know where to answer. Like how to answer.
I have one.
Like-
DC.
Getting from there to... Oh yeah, I can help you with that. Where do you want to start?
Oh,
Batman.
I got one.
Pre-crisis.
I got one. Hold on.
post-crisis,
Here's a
New
good one.
52.
D&D.
Oh, well, see, the thing about that is that that's not a thing. There's a bunch of different campaign settings that all have their own lore, or you can just make your own. I will say
I could help
The
you with
Forgotten Realms has a shit ton of lore that I don't know anything about. That seems like it's really cool.
Drizzt.
Drizzt.
I never knew how to say it,
Duerden.
but I remember I unlocked him in like Baldur's Gate,
Oh yeah.
Dark
That's
Alliance,
a big deal.
and I had a friend who was like really into like Forgotten Realms, and he was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "He's just a blue dude."
Yeah, and Elemenster.
All right, let's move on.
He's not blue.
Final question this week from Beck.
Black.
One review for Death Stranding says the game is
no.
not, quote, fun to play, despite giving it a very positive review score. Are there any games you can think of that aren't fun to play to you, but you still consider them good games?
Bennett Foddy's getting over it. Not fun to play, but like that's a good idea.
What?
The getting over it with Bennett Foddy.
Where
the
you
fuck
have
is
you're in
Where
the
you're
pot,
like in the
you have
little pot and you
sledgehammer.
got and you're just
trying
trying to
to-
go over a mountain.
Oh, yeah.
But like it's a game all about like failure and defeat.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good game, and it is.
My
not-
answer's Quap.
I knew you were going to say Quap. How the fuck did I know you were going to
Because
say
it's
Quap?
made by Bennett Foddy.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like
I'm good at Quap, though.
I feel like
so-
games like Candy Crush would
No.
fall nicely into this category. I mean,
Candy Crush.
Yeah,
No,
I
you're
assume.
good at Quap.
I assumed they're like.
It's fun.
I want to
play.
see you
That's
beat
the
Quap
problem.
after the
Is it's
podcast.
fun.
Oh, okay. I guess so I'm looking at it the wrong way.
A game that like you don't
backwards.
necessarily.
I mean, I would say
have fun with.
a lot
Nier.
of. I would say a lot of horror games
The
fall into
first
this
Nier.
category, mostly because. I mean, unless you find being frightened fun, which
do.
I mean, I guess is part of it's. That's probably part of the reason why I
But,
play.
like,
it.
in
I
the
agree
moment
with you,
or,
but
like-
for different reasons.
But like the reason I play horror games is because I like the stories and the situations they put you in. But like I'm terrified of them. Like they scared. Like I have to psych myself up to play something like The Beast Inside. Like last night, it scared the shit out of
I
me.
agree with you, but for different reasons. Horror games, I like being scared. I like the atmosphere. I like the stories, but I hate playing horror games because usually, and I'm specifically talking about like, not like Resident Evil, but like the ones where you're like trying to figure out where to go. You're reading fucking notes. You're solving some dumbass puzzle or some shit. You know, I just want to get to the, you know, I don't want a shallow experience. I just don't want to read a bunch of fucking notes, you know, and be lost and ask chat, where am I supposed to go next?
As much as I adore Silent Hill, I don't think there's anything I would describe as actively fun about the mechanics. But I do think the game is much bigger and much more than just what you're doing as an active participant in the game.
Chris Davis said Dark Souls, and he's so wrong.
Yes, he is objectively
those
speaking.
games are really fun.
Chris Davis is objectively speaking.
It
incorrect.
is fun to play that game.
Patience for the difficulty.
Well, it's what?
If we're gonna have a conversation, Mike needs to be on. Are we having the conversation?
We're not.
We're not.
Okay.
We're not.
I think we're
we
good.
need
I
to be
think
wrapping it up.
That's all
All
the
right.
questions this week.
All right, let's wrap it up
Thanks
real quick.
to everyone who asked us questions, both from our patrons and from our supporters on Twitch.
Yes, thank you guys so much for your questions. We appreciate it. And for your support on Patreon and Twitch. We love you. Let's wrap up the show with a 4-player minute. That means hype, sweat, thank you, fuck you, or any combination thereof. Brad, start us off.
My fuck you goes to sickness because...
Are you sick? Should I not be sitting next to
Oh,
you?
no, I am sick actually, but you know, you're probably fine. But Henry's been sick for like weeks at this point. I don't think there was a time in October where somebody in our house wasn't sick and we're still sick, and it's just fucking sucks. He got over one cold.
It bounces around.
Went back to school and immediately got something else. It's just been fucking miserable all around, and because of that, I haven't been playing anything. Well, for other reasons as well. It's just been crazy. My thank you though goes to my parents because I had like a very like sort of spontaneous idea the other day is in my so like I've been working the weekends, right, and I work by myself and I listen to like, you know, stuff, right? I listen to like music, so I'm often on like Pitchfork just saying like, oh, you know, what's like the best new music or whatever, or what are some good albums, and I'm downloading them I'm listening to them. And I downloaded one. I was like, oh, this sounds really good. Oh, this is really good. I'm really into this. And I go back into their like, you know, discography. And I'm like, listen to that stuff. Like, oh, this is cool. That's great. I wonder if they're like touring or anything. And they're like, oh, they are touring. And they're going to be here Monday. And this was like Saturday. And I'm like, Monday? Well, I couldn't go to a concert on a fucking Monday. But then I was like, out of left field, I was like, maybe I could offload, you know, because my mom's coming, watches Henry on Mondays. Like, what if I can convince her to just take Henry? And I'll go get him the next day. Just take Henry with you, who she knows is sick. He's been sick. It's like, convince my parents just to take a sick kid, because today is actually me and Malia's anniversary. But we celebrated it yesterday because of like some Hail Mary pass that my parents caught. So we were able to go out.
Through Henry to your parents?
So it was like the first concert I've been to literally since Henry was born, because it's hard when you have a little kid. And, you know, thanks to my parents, it was really cool. We went, also got ramen at that place, Haru. Have you been there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good. I have not been there because I never really go into like town and have meals anymore because I live, you know, outside of Austin. So it was really cool. Thanks, parents.
Cool.
My sweat is for Death Stranding because, come on, that should be everybody's right now, right?
I mean, yeah, to a degree,
right.
For sure.
We're all a little worried. It actually is a 60-hour game about delivering packages. So come on, everyone's got to be a little worried. But my hype is Elden Ring. I feel like that's a game that was announced, and because they didn't show anything really, that sort of the hype for it was been kind of like just barely there. But I think it's one that we're about to find out a lot about, and it's really going to blow people's minds.
You think that's going to be at the VGAs?
I've been I think it is going to be at the VGAs actually, and how I hear it's more of like an RPG and stuff. That's the stuff I've really missed, and I can't wait.
For sure.
Oh man,
cool.
Also, fuck me for not playing that Neo 2 alpha this past weekend.
Yeah, I forgot that happened.
Still going on, I think.
All right, Nolan.
All right, my 4-player managers now. My hype. Death Stranding. I'm excited about all the not 100% positivity the game is getting. I want to play it because you know what? I think I'm gonna enjoy it. And
I have a sneaking suspicion I am too.
Of course y'all are.
My sweat.
You convinced
I feel like it's the kind of game that like just what I know that it
you're
is.
still going to be delivering packages.
Yes,
And?
but the things that I know about it pretty much guarantee I'm gonna like it.
My sweat goes to Disco Elysium. It's a game I really want to play, and I'm just worried I'm not going to get around to it. We'll see what happens.
Make time.
Okay.
Make it happen.
Okay.
Uh-oh, guys.
Or you could sleep.
It's almost
or
sleepy.
you could sleep.
It's almost
hold
sleepy
on,
time.
hold on. That's coming up.
My hype is sleep.
Hold on, that's coming up. My other hype is for more Luigi's Mansion. I've been really enjoying that game. It's lighthearted, it's simple, it's not stressful. I've never kind of freaking out when I'm playing it or worried or anything, and it's just really a good game to go with. And my fuck you goes to myself. So I had a physical yesterday. I go to my doctor, and one of the things is before I went, they sent me this electronic thing. They're like, hey, you can do an electronic check-in and ask all these questions, so that way when you get there, the doctor doesn't have to ask you them. It's just he can quickly go over them, and then whatever. And so one of the questions was about sleep.
They always still do.
And no, he didn't. He didn't go over every single one. He only went over the ones that were whatever. Yeah. And one of the questions was about sleep. And I don't remember the exact question or how I answered it, but it was probably along the lines of, have you been getting enough sleep? Or what are the reasons you're not? And I was like, no, I haven't. And so then I'm at the doctor's office, and he's like, oh, I see you haven't really been getting a lot of sleep. What's going on? And I was like, work is stressful, and I've been taking some melatonin maybe to help myself go to sleep. And he's like, oh, okay. And he just moved on. And I kind of wanted to be like, let's have a larger conversation about this. But then I didn't say anything about it. And he's like, anything else? And I was like, no.
Don't worry, Nolan. There's always next year.
And he's like, all right, see you next year. And I was like, okay.
You can always make another
if you
appointment.
make it till next year.
So, yeah.
Yeah, fuck you, Nolan.
Yeah.
All right, Crispy.
My hype is for more Disco Elysium, because that's kind of the only thing I'm thinking about. But I also have a hype for Star Wars, which is next week. And I also have a mighty hype, for...
Oh, Star Wars is next week?
Next Friday.
Fuck.
Or no.
Death Stranding?
Next Friday. Yeah, it's next Friday.
For Luigi's Mansion, and a fuck you sweat hype for Death Stranding.
Are you gonna
I
play
know
it?
a lot of people are not into what's going on there, but I think it just might be my brand of pretentious bullshit.
I think it's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. My sweat only exists, in the shadow
For
of
sure.
hype, right?
I mean, it could still be a fucking slog,
I wouldn't be
I
worried
really
about
liked
something.
Metal Gear Solid 5, and that kind of turned into a fucking
See,
slog.
I liked that game.
If Metal Gear
This
Solid
is a
5,
different kind of slog. The slog is the point in Death Stranding.
I know.
I mean, he literally said months ago the first half of the game is not going to be fun.
I know.
But
the whole idea of how transportation is the whole point of the game, and how that just kind of balloons later in the game sounds really fucking interesting. To the point, I don't know.
In your BB, you're gonna love your BB.
My baby.
I'm just saying, if Metal Gear Solid 5 is the low bar, is the low point
not.
for no, but I'm saying if it's the low bar for a Kojima game, you know what I mean? To a modern Kojima game, that's cool,
I
man.
don't think it is, but yeah.
Imagine Metal Gear Solid 5 with none of the really fun, awesome mechanics.
But more Monster Energy drink.
Does that sound exciting?
Wait, what are you talking about? I'm saying that everyone's like, you shouldn't have as much faith in Kojima because look at Metal Gear Solid 5, and I'm saying if that is the low bar if that is what your argument for saying Death Stranding isn't going to be good, I think you're wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no.
Metal Gear Solid 5 was, despite
Metal Gear
its
Solid
flaws,
was a great game because it played like a dream and it had all these cool mechanics and systems and stuff.
Exactly. What I'm saying is that is not a that is not in my opinion, a viable excuse
But-
for why you would think Death Stranding is going to be a bad game.
When most people shit on Metal Gear Solid 5, though, they are talking about like
I know, story stuff.
story stuff.
Yes, I'm aware. All right, my hype this week. I'm going to do several hypes. Disco Elysium. I played, like I said, about 2 hours of it today. I'm hooked. I'm ready to jump back in and play more. It seems like the kind of game I can play when I need something a little less intense. You know, not something super action heavy, but super rewarding at the same time. So I'm very excited to play more of that. My second hype goes to Death Stranding, for all the reasons we just talked about, and I'm going to be doing a stream of it on Thursday night because I'm going to pick up the game at 9 p.m. I'll probably be live around 10:30 or so, depending on how long the inevitable day one patch takes to download, I guess. But I'll be streaming the first couple hours. So if you're curious and you want to get a peek at what the opening hours of the game are like, I guess tune into my stream. I'll be playing it. And I'm taking Friday off to play Death Stranding all day.
Nice.
And my thank you goes to Robin. I sat down. I was like, huh?
Oh, what?
I said to myself
You're
this
just
weekend,
wasting time.
I've got to finish a game this weekend. I got to get something off my list. So I decided I was going to go ahead and finish my playthrough of Final Fantasy IX, which I've been working on for a while. So I sat down to play it, and I ended up getting sucked into the Chocobo side quest to get all the ultimate weapons and whatnot, which, if you remember, takes a long time.
I don't.
And despite the fact that Robin has no interest and actually actively dislikes Final Fantasy, she sat down and got really hooked on the chicken game and helped me, was kind of like my co-pilot through the entire thing. And I got all the ultimate weapons and then went and she stayed and kind of cheered me on through the final boss, so that was a fun way to kind of finish off the experience. Still love that game to death. And my fuck you this week goes to, if I have to hear one more conversation or read one more article about Martin Scorsese's comments about Marvel movies, I think I'm going to have an
whole fucking
aneurysm.
cottage industry propping up around this.
It is so unimportant.
Yep.
It is so unimportant.
cares?
Who cares?
He's allowed to not like Marvel
Yes.
movies. It's fine.
It is so.
And stop I don't know. This
Every day I
we're
say-
done talking about it.
I know. I'm done. I know. I'm yes. Good night. Thank you for listening. That's our show. 4playernetwork.com is the website. Of course, we'll be back next week. We'll be talking about Death Stranding next week, so it should be a fun show. If you want to support us, please visit us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And if you want to jump into our community for absolutely $0 and just hang out with us and talk about video games and all that good stuff, please join us on Discord at discord.gg/4player. We will catch you guys next week. Good night.
Bye.